Hello and welcome to WGTC Radio, the official podcast of entertainment website We Got This Covered. I'm Jonathan Lack.
And I'm Sean Chapman.
And we are here to talk about stuff in the truest sense of the term.
Yeah, we
have no topic this week.
Yeah, we thought long and hard about what the fuck we talked about on the podcast this week because, you know, January and February tend to be pretty dry months in terms of, like, entertainment releases.
Yeah. And there's really nothing going on this week. There will be more to talk about. I mean, next week, we've got a new Die Hard movie. End of the month, there's some game stuff. Next month is lots of game stuff. BioShock Infinite, for one. More movies coming out in March. But this is a down week. There's a couple of little things that happen that, one of our little conversations here, we'll talk about that. But for the most part, this is just, we're going to talk about a couple things that are on our minds. I will be talking about Netflix's first original series, House of Cards, starring Kevin Spacey. It came out last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago from when this podcast actually comes out, I guess.
Yeah.
And, they did the thing where they put out all 13 episodes in one dump, and they're all on there, and,
it's a big old Netflix dump.
Yes. And so, I got a subscription so I could watch these episodes, and I was like, well, if I'm doing the journalistic thing here and researching House of Cards, I should watch it how Netflix wants me to watch it. So I just binged the whole thing in like 5 days.
The way TV's meant to be watched.
Just
throw away your personal life for like a couple of days and just sit there in your underwear and watch Kevin Spacey yell at people for a week.
Yes. Although after watching House of Cards, I will not spoil everything I have to say about it. I do not think this is the way TV is meant to be watched, but we will get to that.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about House of Cards. Sean's got a couple crazy things to talk about.
Yeah.
Got some more PS Vita related stuff. We talk about that every week because we've been playing a lot of PlayStation
it's
Vita.
An ongoing process.
Yeah. So before we get into our full, PS Vita episode a couple weeks from now, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Mm-hmm. Our main sort of conversation that will be at the end of this episode, or sort of the main part of this episode, I guess, is Sean and I were talking the other night, and we got into a really weird topic.
Yeah.
It was, so if you don't know, Dragon Ball Z, the Japanese anime, very popular, it's probably the iconic shonen anime.
Yeah. It's what I think it's even, outside of Japan, what everyone thinks of when they think of anime, because it really permeated the culture over here. And
everywhere. I mean, it's a huge international hit. And they are producing a new film, Battle of Gods. It's coming out in Japan on March 30th. And there's a bunch of merchandising and shit coming out in Japan for it. It's full-color comics, versions of the manga, new guidebooks, all this cool stuff. If I lived in Japan and I were a Dragon Ball fan, I would be broke. I mean, I'd be like...
Yeah. You'd get like a whole bunch of hair gel, make your hair super crazy, and just be walking around going, Kamehameha! And everybody walking by.
But anyway, Battle of Gods is coming out. It is co-financed by 20th Century Fox, because 20th Century Fox owns the international film rights to Dragon Ball, because they made the piece of shit spectacular Dragon Ball Evolution with
Goku in high school, the movie.
Yes, because if you think of one thing when you think of Goku, it's high school.
Yeah, exactly.
And studying and girlfriends, because that's what Goku's into, right?
Exactly, yeah. Goku's like this white teenage boy. He's Goku is such an American name.
But anyway, I told this to Sean. And Sean was
by the way, I'm really happy that you know how our conversation started, because I was trying so goddamn hard to figure out how the fuck we started talking about this.
I know, I had to think about it a little bit too. But anyway, I said this to Sean. Sean was naturally surprised that Fox had a hand in this.
Yeah. It seems really counterintuitive, because, it's Dragon Ball. You don't think about any American company having, control over that in any way.
Right. But that indicates that the movie will see a release over here sometime, hopefully in the near future. I'm very excited for this movie. Yeah. I love Dragon Ball. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, that would be really fucking cool.
Yeah, and, I think we were all assuming before we knew 20th Century Fox had a hand in this, Funimation would just eventually put out a DVD and Blu-ray, do a dub, do subtitles, all the good stuff Funimation does. But then... there's this Fox thing in the mix, so we don't know how the international distribution is going to go for this. I mean, I assume, just in the normal sane world, I assume 20th Century Fox will do a limited theatrical release, and they will sub-license out the dub to Funimation.
Yeah.
And probably the home video release, too. Mm-hmm. But Sean said, what if we didn't live in the real world?
Yeah. What if we lived in some crazy parallel universe where 20th Century Fox looked at what Disney did with their releases of the Studio Ghibli films, where Disney casted the dubs for those movies when they released them over here and decided, fuck it. I think Liam Neeson should be in Ponyo because, Liam Neeson is a voice actor. And so they, celebrity voice casting was all over those Disney dubs of the Studio Ghibli films. So what if, Fox was like, that was really cool. We've got Dragon Ball Z. Fuck it. Let's do that. Let's celebrity cast Dragon Ball Z. Let's, flip the bird to Christopher Sabat and Sean Shamel and, say, fuck it. Let's call Liam Neeson.
Yes. And 3 or 4 hours later, I mean...
A very, very long and very dumb conversation later.
We had completely cast with American celebrities Dragon Ball Z, big swaths of One Piece and Naruto and Bleach.
Yeah.
And
any anime we could think of that we had seen.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Really lent itself well to celebrity voice casting, and we will be talking about we will basically just replay that conversation.
Yeah, as best as we can. We can probably come up with some even better voice castings along the way.
Yeah.
But it is a surprisingly fun topic to have if you're a really nerdy person, if you are also people who have seen a lot of anime and have friends who have seen a lot of anime. It's something you never think about, but it's a really fun conversation to have. What famous actors would you have play your favorite anime characters?
Right.
It's a really fun game.
Yeah, and I think, Sean and I are both the kind of people where I, personally, I just care about the Japanese version. That's what I watch. That's what I care about.
For most anime, I'm like that too, but I got Dragon Ball Z really young on Toonami, so I'm really fond of the English dub of that.
Yeah, and I don't know really much about that dub. I'm not a huge fan of it. But anyway, but the point is, I would be fascinated by dubs if they did this shit.
Yeah.
Because with the Ghibli movies, that doesn't work because those really are high art. I mean, that'd be like taking a Kurosawa film over here and dubbing it for some reason. I mean, it'd be ridiculous.
Have Samuel Jackson play Toshiro Mifune instead of the samurai.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
But it'd be weird. That doesn't really work. There's not a whole lot of comedic value there. But for Dragon Ball Z or some weekly anime that's really big and over the top, that'd be fucking awesome.
That'd be fucking awesome.
So we will share all those thoughts with you later on in this episode. That was our hook, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to start off here, talk about Netflix's House of Cards with Kevin Spacey. So if you don't know, the show, this is Netflix's first full original series. Last year they premiered a show on their Netflix streaming service called Lilyhammer with Steven Van Zandt. And that was technically their first original series, but it was a co-production with this, this production company, I believe in the Netherlands, because that's where the show is set, I believe. I have only watched 1 or 2 episodes of it. I tried because I love Steven Van Zandt, but the show did not hook me totally. But it's an interesting one. But that was more of an acquisition, I would say, than they sat down and they produced an original series. So this is their first big game. This is sort of like their Sopranos. This is them coming out and saying, all right, this is who we are as a network. This is our first big original show. It stars Kevin Spacey. It's also produced by him. It is produced and directed by David Fincher. David Fincher directs the first 2 episodes. He doesn't direct anything past that, but they very much, he sets the style.
He J.J. Abrams it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And David Fincher, he's the director of Fight Club, Seven, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, American, Social Network. Very, very good director. Big Hollywood name. Written by Beau Willimon, who wrote Farragut North, which is the play which was adapted into The Ides of March, which was an acclaimed George Clooney film a couple of years ago, which I really didn't like, but we'll talk about that later. In addition to Kevin Spacey, it stars Robin Wright, Kate Mara, Corey Stoll, who you might know from playing Ernest Hemingway in Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris. He was fucking hilarious there. He's a really good actor. Lots of faces, beyond that who are sort of like, hey, it's that guy kind of faces. Like, really good character actors. And so, like I said, they put out all 13 episodes of the show's first season at once on Friday, February 6th, I believe. And you could just watch them all and just binge on them. Yeah. And it was not Friday, February 6th. That would have been like 3 days ago. It would have been like whatever the Friday before that was.
Sure.
Yeah, 1st, I think.
Yeah.
February 1st. So anyway, House of Cards, it is about, Kevin Spacey plays a congressman, Francis Underwood. He helps this new president get elected, and then the president, on his first day in office, passes over Francis Underwood for Secretary of State, and that was sort of their deal going into all this.
Yeah.
So Underwood decides, fuck it, I am on my own, I will not help this administration, and he decides he's going to take this administration out and try to get the top job himself. And so it is... the best comparison I can give is it is Richard III in Washington, D.C. 2012, or 2013. And Richard III is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, really interesting one, very fascinating kind of archetypical play to do, and to adapt in this setting, and I think Beau Willimon really, really understands how to take those elements and repurpose them for modern-day America, and I think that is at its best, House of Cards is a really, really funny show. And I think that sounds counterintuitive because it is a drama, and it's a pretty high-class drama with all this talent.
Yeah.
But at its best, I mean, if you look at Richard III, there's a lot of Richard III that's funny. Because Richard is he's totally evil.
Yeah.
Shakespeare never asks us to care about this man on any level, but he does ask us to be kind of amused by the ways he just fucks people over.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he asks us that, but that's definitely part of Richard III and part of the appeal. That he always gets his way. He is so much smarter than everyone else. He is so good with words and using words to bring people down. And at its best, that's what House of Cards is. And I think at its best, House of Cards is a sort of deliriously fun show because it's so twisty. It's almost kind of like Washington soap opera kind of thing. And it's very just into seeing how this unrepentantly evil man, unrepentantly evil politician uses the other people in his life to just, mess with them and bring them down and, further his own success. And most of the other characters on the show are pretty awful human beings, too. So, at its best, House of Cards is absolutely great on that level. And it's phenomenally directed through all 13 episodes. David Fincher's episodes are probably the best directed, although I think the finale looks gorgeous and has some shots that I think are the best shots in the series. The writing is pretty good throughout. And the performances, I mean, the number one reason to watch this show is the performances. They are all fantastic, and Kevin Spacey, this is the best performance I've ever seen him give. And Kevin Spacey is one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey's awesome.
Yeah, I will watch him in anything. That's the main reason I was looking forward to House of Cards. And if you love Kevin Spacey, buy a Netflix subscription today, because you get 13 hours of him being his most Kevin Spacey-ish. In terms of
Kevin Spacey-y.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey-y. And using a really kind of awesome Southern accent, which just makes him all the more evil.
Yeah.
And I just think he really, really is on a wavelength with this character and understanding that the point of this show is very different than even other shows with sort of evil main characters. Breaking Bad still asks you to like Walter White to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Maybe not by the time you get to seasons 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
But
kind of by the end, by the end of season 4, it sort of feels like the show's like, Walter's gone pretty fucking far at this point.
Right.
But up to that point, they're still like, want you to be on board with him.
Yeah.
Like, sort of be cheering him on.
Yeah, and if you think of the other great TV drama characters like, Don Draper and, Tony Soprano, those are bad guys to a certain degree. I mean, Don Draper doesn't, kill anybody like Tony Soprano, but he's not a great human being. But you still are asked to sort of like them. They're charismatic. Mm-hmm. There's something about them. And while Francis Underwood is charismatic, I don't think for a second are supposed to like this man. You are supposed to get off on the sort of really perverse pleasure of seeing him do evil things in a fucked up world. And I think Beau Willimon taps in so well to our sort of collective distrust with Congress and the government, and just that while this is a very heightened version of it where everyone is doing terrible things, it's probably pretty close to how Washington actually works. Mm-hmm. And so, in that context, why not root for the guy who's the most capable? Like, that's what's appealing about Kevin Spacey in this, is that he is so capable, and everyone else, you don't like the president in this show, you don't really like most of the people he's screwing over, so, fuck it, I'll put my, cards behind Kevin Spacey.
I'll put my house of cards behind Kevin Spacey, too.
Oh, thank you. So anyway, I think he really understands that, and at its best, this show understands it. The complaint I have to lodge against it, because I thought the first 5 or 6 episodes are great television. I really loved them. I could not stop watching it. And then I think episode 7 onwards is a step down. And I don't think it's ever a huge step down, but there are some issues at play, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in terms of the Netflix model, I think is the problem more than anything. But I just think the last half of the season tries to go a little deeper with its story and its characters, and while it works at times, the stuff they do with the Corey Stoll character, who is one of the few, I would say, good people on the show, even though he is an alcoholic and he sleeps around and all these things.
So he's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, in comparison, sure. He's not really hurting anyone. But anyway, the Corey Stoll characters, they do fascinating stuff with him. I really like where they take his character. It's really good material. Everywhere else, I think they try to soften Francis Underwood in a couple of circumstances that doesn't work for me, and it ends on an absolute whimper. This is very much... House of Cards was initially ordered for 26 episodes, 2 seasons, and this is just 13 episodes. The finale doesn't resolve anything. It basically, Francis Underwood is going for a very long play here because he is trying to go from the House Majority Whip to the President of the United States, and there's a lot of steps in there.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but Season 1 ends with him accomplishing, I would say, a part of his plan, but even that's only a minor resolution, and nobody else gets a satisfactory, to my eyes, resolution. Corey Stoll character, yes, but other than that, it's just sort of like we get to episode 13 and we reach a pausing point everywhere, but I feel like episode 14 should have just started next. Yeah. And that, to me, is a disappointment, and I think this is where we have to turn the conversation into a little bit about the oddities of Netflix's business strategy.
Yeah, because this is... Like, not only is this the first show that they're doing, but they are planning to bring other shows back in this format, notably Arrested Development.
Yes.
But then obviously this is sort of like Netflix's new move that they're making to try to stay really relevant and make more money and keep people subscribed to their service.
And I think we will both agree the idea of Netflix doing original shows is great.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. It sort of, takes a lot of the power out of the hands of the big corporations, and Netflix is able to, like, make it more focused. Like, it's almost like a really cool version of a web series in a way.
Yeah.
That, like, will still have all the benefits of sort of a traditional TV series, but that you're able to view sort of on your own terms using their service.
But they've done a couple of weird things with House of Cards in particular. One, I mean, and the main thing about their model is that they put it all out the day it comes out, all 13, just like if they put up a season of Breaking Bad, you get all the episodes of Breaking Bad when it goes up. And they do this because that's how people like watching TV on Netflix, is they just binge view it all. And that's great. I don't understand how they monetize this. Mm-hmm. Because the reason why HBO, for instance, who also produces their shows in a vacuum and then puts them out week by week, they could put them out all out in one day if they wanted to, in most cases. HBO doesn't do that because, let's say you're a fan of Game of Thrones, and that's the only thing you like on HBO. And HBO is very strict about that's really the only way you can see it if you don't want to pirate it.
Yeah.
If you get their service. And even if you watch it on your iPad through HBO Go, Xbox through HBO Go, you have to have a subscription through your cable company still, that's a whole other, can of worms.
Yeah.
But anyway, so HBO, Game of Thrones is 10 episodes. They air over 10 weeks because that means you have to pay for 10 weeks of HBO. You have to be subscribed for at least 3 months, and they get those 3 months. And then if you don't subscribe anymore, well, they'd like you to stay around, but they at least got 3 months out of you for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and then hopefully they will get another 3 months out of you when the next season of Game of Thrones comes around.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you're really inattentive, you just keep your HBO subscription going until the next season comes up, even though you don't use it at all, which is probably where they get most of their money from.
Yeah. But let's say you are interested in Netflix, but you don't have a Netflix subscription. You feel like you can get their stuff in other ways, but they start doing an original series. And you're interested in House of Cards because it's got all these big names. It sounds like a really good show. It's gotten good reviews.
Yeah.
And you want to watch it. Well, it's all there. Netflix has a free month subscription thing you can do.
Yeah.
So you get a free month of Netflix. You watch House of Cards in a week. You cancel your subscription. Not because you disliked House of Cards, but because you finished House of Cards.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need to watch anything else. If they had released it over 13 episodes, 4 months, you would have had to pay at least 3 months beyond your free trial period.
Yeah.
So that's my first question about how they monetize this.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, obviously what they're trying to do, the effort here is to just get people onto Netflix and then hope that they stay. It's in a lot of ways, it's very similar to what Valve did with Team Fortress 2 with their Steam service, where they made Team Fortress 2 free to play. But what that did is that now everyone knows about Team Fortress 2 is free to play on Steam, so I'm going to download Steam, I'm going to play Team Fortress 2, and then, lo and behold, oh hey, they have Half-Life 2's on here. Everyone says that game's really good, so I'm going to buy that. And Counter-Strike seems like it's a really cool game, and oh man, that new Call of Duty game came out too, I'll buy that too from their service.
Right.
And that's sort of the gamble that they make. But yeah, like Netflix. But Netflix is very different because they just want you to be subscribed over a long period of time. So the hope would be, I go to Netflix to watch House of Cards, but then hey, I really like the X-Files, but I only saw 2 seasons of it when it was on TV. They have all 9 seasons of the X-Files. I'm going to watch all of the X-Files,
right? Which
is what I did when I got Netflix. That was like the first thing I did. And then you see it's like, there's a bunch of movies, there's a bunch of TV shows, there's so much stuff on Netflix that the hope is that once you're subscribed, you stay there. But I definitely agree, it makes so much more sense to like release it weekly. One, just because that takes advantage of the serialized format of TV. That's like, if you're making episodes, it makes the most sense to do that. And then two, if it protracts the amount of time, you have to stay subscribed if you get like really interested in the show to keep on watching the show. So they definitely would make more money out of it that way.
Right. So you're totally right on all that. That's a really good explanation of all that. The bigger question here, once we get beyond that basic business thing, is, all right, you're going to make a season. Let's just accept that's what Netflix wants to do. Put it all out at once.
Yeah.
Then I think at that point you have to fundamentally alter the creative way you make TV.
I agree.
Because at that point, you're not releasing a TV show in the conventional sense of a serialized format with episodes. You're releasing a long movie. And David Fincher and Beau Willimon and Kevin Spacey and everyone involved with this show has been giving interviews up the yazoo explaining how House of Cards is like, it's a new kind of TV. It's like a 13-hour movie. You watch it all at once. It's more satisfying than, watching it week to week, blah, 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 blah. And while House of Cards is a very good show, at times a great show, and I highly recommend it, it is no different in structure than any other show out there.
I mean, it is very telling that there are 2 seasons, and they're both 13 episodes long, which is a very standard length of a season of a show like this.
Well, and that's the biggest thing I have to note here is that I don't know why they picked 13 episodes, because there is certainly not enough story in this season for 13 episodes. I think there's probably enough for 10. I would maybe even go down to 8 or 9. Even though I liked all these episodes, there are a couple that... Episode 8, in particular, is complete and total filler and doesn't need to be there. You can probably skip it. I guess there's some stuff with Corey Stoll in that one. But the main Francis Underwood stuff is total filler.
Yeah.
And all it accomplishes is they're trying to humanize him in a way I don't really respond to, because I don't need this guy to be humanized.
Yeah.
And for the most part, that's the main problem with this season of House of Cards. It's definitely the main problem, is it feels stretched. You get to episode 6... and it's just, you start feeling the seams. And it gets very long. And it feels like these issues probably wouldn't... I wouldn't bother with these issues if it were just aired over 13 weeks, I guess. But, because you would just watch an episode every week and you wouldn't think so much about the pacing.
Yeah.
But when you watch it all at once, you notice, okay... Like last night, I was working on a project, and so I was really into it, though, and I needed to get this project done, but I also really wanted to watch House of Cards. So I just set up my iPad next to my computer, and I just played some episodes of House of Cards, and I got through 2 episodes. I can't tell you... Those 2 episodes are just an amorphous blob to my mind. They were good, but it's like... Episode 12, the penultimate, most of that was filler, which is really weird for your penultimate episode to be filler. But, it's just... It's one of those things where it feels like it's stretched. I mean, here's a big mistake the show makes structurally, is that a big... turning point in the story comes in episode 11. And it's the kind of turning point you would normally get in the penultimate episode of a cable TV series. And it's a big, turning point for Francis Underwood and how we see him as a character. And that's very much followed up on in episode 13. So 12 very much feels like this weird, brick in the road, where 11 and 13 feel like they could go together perfectly, because the events they're very, they go together. 12 is a lot of, to me, it feels like filler. But anyway... So that's a little weird that they, for some reason, picked 13 episodes. I mean, if you're releasing it all at once, I don't think the number of episodes matters.
Yeah, I agree. That you just... Yeah, exactly, because you don't have, this standardized TV format that you have to adhere to. You just make the amount of episodes that you have story for, you planned out for, and then do that. You don't have to do 13, you can do 10, or 9, or 7, or 11. You can do whatever you want.
I understand they don't want, 3 of them out there, because that's not enough for people to subscribe for. But... And I think they wanted 13 to try to show, here we are legitimate, the show's legitimate, but if you just look at the show, you can tell it's legitimate. Even at its worst, it's beautifully produced, wonderfully acted, it's all top-notch production values.
And it's got motherfucking Kevin Spacey in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's got to be good on some level.
Yeah.
And so the idea of them having to pick this weird, 13-episode number... I mean, most of the cable, networks don't do 13 anymore. HBO does 10 to 12 at most. AMC still does 13, and I think FX still does 13. Well, except FX and AMC do 13 sometimes, but AMC does that weird thing now where they split their seasons in half, and they do 16. So that's a whole other issue. But, so 13 is not really a standard anymore. Even Mad Men now they do 13 hours, but they do it in 12 airings, because now they do 2-hour premieres. So, it's a different kind of thing. And even the bigger issue through all this is that, alright, so they picked 13 hours. I don't like that decision, but whatever. But here's maybe my biggest curiosity with House of Cards, is that in these 13 episodes, they are 13 episodes of TV. They are not a 13-hour movie. They are a regular TV season. It is serialized, but it is episodic. Each episode, for the most part, has a beginning, middle, end, and a plot that happens in that episode, something that Francis Underwood or one of the other characters has to tackle.
Yeah.
And so that's like, on Breaking Bad, Walt and Jesse kill some people. They have to spend an episode getting rid of the bodies. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's a TV kind of thing to do, and that's a TV kind of thing you do because you air it week to week, and each episode should feel satisfying if you tune in every week.
Mm-hmm.
Down to the point where House of Cards has end credits and opening theme song and things like that. None of these are things I would assume would happen if your goal is to do, we're putting it all out at once as a 13-episode movie, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so none of that's bad. It's just when I know this is the only way this show has ever been presented, it's weird, and I don't know why they didn't do it differently.
Yeah, take advantage of this very unique format that they have, that they release this 13-episode story all in one big chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, use that to your advantage instead of just making a TV show.
Right.
And releasing the entire thing at once.
Yeah, and it's even weirder when you consider that these are all movie people on House of Cards. All the actors, writers, and directors are mostly movie people. Some of the directors are really, acclaimed TV directors, but, you got people like Joel Schumacher directing, some other film directors. So it's an interesting thing. And none of this takes away to me from recommending the show or saying that, if you are interested, I would get a month of Netflix to watch this. And full disclosure here, we were talking about sort of the business strategy.
Yeah.
I do not use Netflix because I have Amazon Prime, and most of what's on Netflix that I'm interested in is on Amazon Prime streaming. And you can get that on your iPad and iPhone and everywhere else now. So that's why I don't use Netflix, but I was just going to do the thing for House of Cards and Arrested Development where I just get a free month and watch it. Mm-hmm. And full disclosure, I was sent by a press contact 6 months free to watch the show, and later on when Arrested Development and some of their other stuff comes out and check all this out. And I'll definitely talk about all that because I got the subscription, and that's why I did this. I wanted to, they sent me that. I want to, give something back.
Yeah. Watch
it all, talk about it, and I want to refocus again. While I think some of their distribution things here are weird, I like the show an awful lot.
Yeah.
And I could not stop watching it at a certain point. I mean, even though I think the way it ends underwhelms me, those last 5 hours I watched all in one night because I was still very invested in it. And I think, the acting all around is great. I've been praising Kevin Spacey, but Kate Mara, who is an actress who's been in a lot of sort of smaller roles before, she's never been better than she is here. She's pretty fantastic throughout. Corey Stoll is absolutely terrific and Emmy-worthy in every way, and just fantastic. And there's a lot of other good people. Kristen Connolly from The Cabin in the Woods, she was the main actress in that. It was interesting, I saw her here. She's Corey Stoll's girlfriend on the show, and she's really good too. And it's kind of funny, because Cabin in the Woods, even though it came out last year, was filmed so long ago, I didn't quite recognize her at first, because she has visibly aged. Not poorly or anything, she's older.
That is such a weird thing with Cabin in the Woods that you always forget about, is that, the movie came out recently, they made it fucking forever ago.
Yeah,
5 years ago.
She's in her 30s now. She was in her 20s when they made Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, but she's very good in this. Lots of good people. Robin Wright, I think, is good in this. I dislike pretty much every scene with her character that is not with Kevin Spacey, because they've tried really hard to try to give her own story outside of just her husband. And
she's like the B plotline character.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of B plotline characters. She's usually the C or D or E plotline character, and it's too much. It's like that's a thing the show doesn't need. Like there's this whole thing, like she has a non-profit that she works for, and there's a lot of maneuvering there, and it ties back together to a certain degree to the main plot of the show, but for the most part, those scenes are just slogs to get through. I was tempted to fast forward through a couple of them. Like, there's this guy she likes, who she's having an affair with, or is thinking of having an affair with, and that goes on for fucking ever. And so, while I think Robin Wright is good, I really disliked most everything with her character. But there is an interesting thing. The relationship she shares with her husband, Kevin Spacey, is a little unlike anything I've ever seen before. They are a couple. They are powerfully political couple who legitimately love each other, but they tell each other everything. So and they sleep with other people and talk about it to each other, because when they do that, it's usually because they have a political means.
Yeah.
So Kevin Spacey sleeps with the reporter played by Kate Mara and immediately tells Robin Wright, and she's not really disturbed by it, because it's like she asks him, "What will this get us?" He explains, and she's like, "Okay." And there's a lot of really good scenes where they will just sit in their, they're in their, condo, apartment, house kind of thing, and they sit by the windowsill and share a cigarette to get the smoke out of the house, and those moments, there's like one per episode where they'll just talk about what's going on and sort of power struggles and things, and those are really good scenes. But then when Robin Wright is not around Kevin Spacey, it's a slog to get through.
Yeah, that is like my biggest pet peeve in TV shows is when they have these like B characters that have their like ongoing plots that just feel like they're meant to pad out episodes.
And you don't
drives me insane. TV shows,
and you don't need that if you're doing it this Netflix way, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to have this quota.
Yeah. So it's weird, but in any case, that's all good. While I did not love the finale or the way that it all resolves, the finale has a couple of scenes that are some of the best scenes in the series. There's one where Underwood. I'll have to back up. One of the stylistic things the show does, and it's so seamless you don't really think about it, but Underwood monologues. And what he'll do is he'll, just as time is passing, he'll sort of start talking and then turn to the camera, and he's addressing us on different things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's for exposition, sometimes it's, when it's at its best, it's not just for exposition, it's him talking about his feelings or philosophies or things like that. And it's very much, again, it's a Richard III kind of thing to do, where Richard III, midstream in the Shakespeare play, will just turn to the crowd and start talking about how he's, fucking with people. And it works mostly really well. In the middle episodes, when Beau Willimon is not writing, I don't think the other writers get it as much, and they usually he'll say, like, this person is the vice president, and I have to use them to get this, and this. It's like, well, I kind of get that, Kevin Spacey. But at its best, and the best use of this is in the finale. He goes to a church, and he is thinking about all his sins for the season, and he looks at God, and he's had a thing earlier in the episode where he tries to explain how if there is a God, he works for me, not the other way around. It's a great speech. It's even better in this church scene, because basically he addresses God, Satan, and the audience, and it's one of the best written TV scenes I think I've ever seen, because I think it's a really interesting meta-commentary on the way TV is it's a medium we watch. It's not something where people are living. It's something where they're living for us, and it's a really interesting scene. And I wish the rest of the finale had been a little bolder in that regard. But in any case, I don't know if there's much more to say. I really liked this show. I have not had time to write a full review, and I won't have time. It kind of came in the middle of stuff, and I'm working on other things. But it's really quite good, and I recommend watching it. And I'm interested to see where Netflix goes from here.
Yeah, it'll be like one of the things I'm most curious about is whether or not they will ever pursue like a DVD release type thing for their original series.
Yeah,
it seems like on the one hand that would be an easy way to make some money, just have people buy the DVDs, and then on the other hand, that means that now nobody has to subscribe to your service to watch the show.
Right,
it'll be interesting to see what they do about that.
Yeah. And I would like them to put out a Blu-ray of this, because while the Netflix streaming service is good, it's very spotty, and it goes in and out for me, especially. Our internet connection the last couple days has not been great, and it kept, when I was watching it on our Xbox, it would just be like, it'd be high def for a couple seconds, and then it'd be low def, and then go back and forth, and things like that. And even at its highest definition, it did not look great on Netflix, but this is obviously a show that was shot with, state-of-the-art equipment for television, and I would like to see the nicest version of it someday. But they also shot it, this is worth noting, in a strange aspect ratio I have never seen before. It has black bars on the top and bottom on a widescreen TV, but a little thicker than 1.85 to 1. If you don't know, a 16 by 9 TV is 1.78 to 1. That's what 16 by 9 is. That's what the iPhone 5 is. A lot of computers are like that. Movies in 16 by 9 are shot a little wider, 1.85 to 1, and if you watch them on your high-def TV, there will be slight black bars on the top and bottom.
Yeah.
This has slightly thicker. It looks like it's 1.9 or 1.95 to 1. It's like it's not bad or anything, it's kind of like, I don't get that. Like, is it just because David Fincher's a movie guy, he wanted it a little wider, but Netflix is only going to be shown on TVs and TV-like devices, so why didn't they just shoot it in 1.78 to 1?
I cannot answer that question for you.
Yeah, and I actually like 1.85 to 1 more, because the slight black bars, for me, I kind of like that it emphasizes the width more than the height, but it's just, like on my iPad, you could definitely notice it, because the iPad is 4:3, and it's, anyway, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
But, it's good, recommend it. What I might recommend doing is the Netflix series that I think will be really interesting is Arrested Development. So if you are not interested in, paying for a bunch of Netflix, all at once. Maybe wait until May and Arrested Development comes out, get a free subscription, and just binge view it all.
Or watch the X-Files.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that is my recommendation.
But if you have Amazon Prime or Hulu or any other streaming service, it's on there too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, no, I have it in my Amazon queue. I just haven't gone around to watching it. X-Files is good.
Yes, X-Files is very good.
Okay.
Someday we'll do an X-Files podcast.
I've always wanted to watch all of the X-Files. I've seen like a big chunk of season 1, and I don't know why I didn't see more. I thought it was really good, and I know that's not even the show's best season. Or anything.
That's
So.
just it getting off the ground. Like seasons 3 to 5 are great. But anyways, that has nothing to do with anything. Although I'm curious, do you think that this will end up being with House of Cards? Feel like just a 26 episode season?
Yeah,
that almost seems like what they're really trying to go for in a weird way.
I kind of think so, because I assume there will be a time gap between these two seasons, given the way it ends. But there's a lot of time gaps within the season. Episodes take place months apart from each other. And so, yeah, I actually, my main recommendation might be, if you really want to watch it, but you have no burning desire to watch it today, wait until season 2's out and watch all 26. I kind of wish I had done that, because it's a frustrating ending. I mean, to me, it's just well, the story just got started. Now I gotta wait for more. And the thing is, they haven't even publicized much that there's going to be a season 2, and I worry that a lot of people are really going to be unsatisfied when you get to the end, because to me it has a mini-series premise. It doesn't have and it's a remake. I should say it's a remake of a British mini-series, so that makes sense.
So it definitely has a mini-series premise.
Yeah. So I think it will, when it's all done. If they only make the 2 seasons, I assume if it does well, they'll make more. But I think the 26 episodes will feel more cohesive than the 13.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where Netflix goes with this. If this takes off and what other shows they would try to do. The constant clarion call by Firefly fans of let's dig that grave up again.
I am positive Netflix has looked into doing that. They have to have, because Firefly was never expensive. Mm-hmm. People love it, and it was part of its resurgence was Netflix.
Yeah.
So, God, if they did that, they would be unbelievably rich. I mean, that's the kind of thing, and I think Joss Whedon could do that in such a way where you could do here's 13 episodes, and I think he could.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think Firefly would be a really good format for that.
Yeah, and I don't need... And here's my thing. I've never needed more Firefly TV episodes. I think it ended well and everything with the movie. But if they wanted to do more mini-movies, 90-minute episodes, Sherlock style, that would be really cool. Do some prequel stories, side stories, things.
I mean, and this is one of the things with Firefly, is that it would be really depressing if they set anything post Serenity the movie, because
certain characters are gone.
Yeah, and certain characters that were maybe my favorite characters.
Yeah, but you could do... There's a whole comic they did set between the show and Serenity. You could make that, put it on Netflix.
Yeah.
They'd get all the money. They'd
get every money.
Yeah, I'm sure they've looked into that. But I think the big question there is if Arrested Development Season 4 does a lot for them, they will definitely look into resurrecting some of those other shows.
Yeah.
And I assume it will. I mean, and the Arrested Development thing, I should say, that looks like it's a more compelling use of the here's a bunch of episodes at once format, because they've made it to be a thing where it's kind of one series of events, but each episode is a different character seeing these things from a different point of view, is kind of what they've said. Mm-hmm. And they say you can really watch them in any order. There's a set order they recommend, but you don't have to watch it that way.
But then after you watch all the episodes, you unlock the true ending in the secret last episode. How cool would that be? That'd be really fucking cool if Netflix did a thing where you could only watch the last episode of something if you had seen every other episode.
That'd be neat. And if they did not publicize it ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's kind of infamous in a lot of the modern anime industry, is they will do that all the time, where they will release the actual last episode of a show only on the DVD. When they adapted Persona 4 into an anime, that's what they did. So the actual animation ends with the normal ending of the game, which does not resolve anything. The true ending is the actual ending to the game, and then we're going to make the actual ending a DVD-only episode, so fuck you guys.
Speaking of Persona and true endings, I don't think there's much more to say about Persona 4 this week. We'll lay off, but maybe we have...
that would be a hard conversation to have every single week where we are in Persona. We'll
Golden thumbs up, Vita thumbs up.
Still buy it.
But let's talk about some Vita stuff then.
Yeah, let's talk about some Vita stuff.
We'll start positive, because I think we're on we've got some positive momentum here before we just go downhill.
Yeah.
Because Sean, you played a shitty game.
Yeah, I did. I really, really did.
But before that, good games. There is a sale going on right now. I don't know if it will still be going on when this podcast goes up, so we won't talk about it too long. You can buy all the Final Fantasy games on PlayStation Network for half price.
Well,
except
almost all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy III, the DS remake that was ported to PSP, is not on sale. But
Final Fantasy X isn't even on the service, so obviously that one's not on sale. Same with 12. 11's an MMO, so that doesn't count. Yeah. Same thing with 13.
Okay, 1 through 9. And
mostly.
Yeah, mostly. And you and I just spent a bunch of money on that.
I spent like $30 and got a bunch of Final Fantasy games on my Vita. And most of them, all the PS1s, you can also play on your PS3.
Yes, and you only have to buy them once.
Yeah.
So there's, if you want to get all of them, you can buy 1 and 2 as PS1 classics.
Yeah.
3 and 4 as PSP games. 4 is the complete collection, which has the After Years and a new thing on it.
Yeah, it's got like a cell phone game and then like an extra like epilogue that you play as like the main character's children or something like that.
Yeah. You can get 5 for the PS1, although PS1 classics, and it works on your PS3, but that one does not work on Vita yet.
Yeah, but it probably will sometime in the future, so if you're really interested in it, maybe think about buying it now.
I'm definitely going to buy it now, just so it's on my PS3, because hopefully one day it'll... And if I can play on my PS3 too. Mm-hmm. 6 is a PS1 classic, and then 7, 8, and 9 are all PS1 classics.
Yeah.
And all the PS1 classics are $5, which is a phenomenal deal for all of those.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all good. And let's toot the horn a minute for Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 1 is a really good game.
Explain.
So Final Fantasy 1, the originator of the entire series, is extremely different from every other entry in the series. Like, especially like Final Fantasy 2 is like this weird black sheep. Final Fantasy 3 never came out over here, but Final Fantasy 3 really started like the normal JRPG trend that like is sort of like what a JRPG is, and Final Fantasy 4 really solidified that and sort of like perfected it, and then the series went off like that now it's kind of doing weird stuff with the battle systems and stuff. But like, those games define what a JRPG is. Final Fantasy 1 is this weird, really weird game where it does not have any of the JRPG normal conventions other than some of the gameplay stuff like the combat system, because it doesn't have the JRPG story. It does not. It actually has a very Western RPG game design philosophy behind it, where the key difference in my mind between JRPGs and Western RPGs is that JRPGs, all the main characters are defined by the game. Like, your main character is an actual character. He's a named dude. He's Cloud. He's Squall. He's a piece of shit named Titus that you never want to play as because he's a motherfucking asshole who wears, like, shorts where one leg is longer than the other leg, and somehow even, like, he finds, like, time to fucking do his hair. Whatever. You play as those characters, and they're fucking cunts. And the story is very linear. It's very focused. And they tend to be really, really fucking long, and, that's kind of what a JRPG is. A Western RPG tends to be much more focused on player choice and, player utility, where you define who the main character is. The main character is sort of like this vessel for you to occupy. That has kind of changed a little bit in recent years with, like, Mass Effect. Does a little bit more to make your main character a defined character, but you still define who that character is through your actions. Tends to have very non-linear structures. There are lots and lots of side quests that are very emphasized in Western RPGs, and they tend to be about 20 hours long, as opposed to about 60 hours long, which is the case of most JRPGs. Final Fantasy 1 is much more like a Western RPG. You play as 4 characters that are in your party, and you define who those characters are. They are all classes that you pick. They are all named by you, and they have no personality whatsoever, which means that you define the personality for all the characters. And then also the entire game, since there's almost no plot other than, yo dude, the world is in dire straits, let's get these 4 crystals that will not make the world in dire straits anymore, and you are sort of prophesized to do this, to go on this quest to find these 4 crystals. That's the extent of the story. And the very nature of that means that all you really do is wander around and, try to find these 4 crystals. And since there's no really set linear story, you get to do kind of whatever you want. And Final Fantasy 1 is really awesome in that way. Final Fantasy 1 is this very pure, almost Dungeons and Dragons-y experience because all the characters are completely defined by you. It, like, really lets you use your imagination, and when you play it, and it is a game I played the shit out of on the Game Boy Advance version back in the day.
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance version is how I played it, too. I should note, if you just heard some sounds, that was me buying Final Fantasy V on our PS3. Sorry. I forgot I did not do that, and I wanted to do it before the sale ends.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, yeah, Final Fantasy I has a great GBA remake. It's, as always, it's packed with number 2.
Yeah.
It was called Dawn of Souls, and that's how I played it. Loved it. Never beat the final boss because he's fucking impossible.
I did beat the final boss. Can't even remember the. That's like the one thing about I don't like the combat systems in any of the Final Fantasy games I've ever played. But,
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember anything about fighting in that game. I just remember it being really cool. Just
Yeah,
walking around the world.
But there's just something about one that it's not the best game Final Fantasy has ever produced.
Yeah.
But it's a really fun one, and I think it's an underappreciated one because people feel it's like it was a springboard to bigger things. And while that's true to a certain extent, I think it is its own thing.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and it has a very different underlying philosophy in its game design that I find super fascinating. That's what the first Final Fantasy game is,
right?
And then they immediately changed. I mean, they changed in a really dumb way, Final Fantasy II, and then they kind of went back, and then they defined what a JRPG is. But I feel but it's kind of interesting because everybody played Final Fantasy I. That I almost feel like that game. Japanese developers saw in that game something completely different than what Western developers saw in that game, and they both took that game and went in completely different directions with it, and it defined what RPGs are. Like, you can definitely see that when you play the game.
Very true. And, I think that's the one, from this sale, if you just want to spend like $5, I would get the Final Fantasy Origins 1 and 2 pack.
Yeah, especially for the Vita, because it's a really good mobile game. Because
it is.
You can... it doesn't have a lot of story stuff, so you can just play it for like 5 minutes, then save, then go back, and whenever you have more time to play it just a little bit. You're never caught in this dumb 15-minute cutscene with a bunch of Final Fantasy bullshit story that makes no sense.
Right. So it's good. I would also highly recommend 4. That complete collection especially will look great on your Vita or PSP.
I played it for 2 minutes when I was downloading a patch for the other game we'll talk about, and the game looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the 16-bit version, it's the Sprite version, not the 3D remake for the DS.
But sprites are cool.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, awesome. And 4 is sort of the start of Final Fantasy as we know it, with active time battle and all these things. Mm-hmm. And it's a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
And I will also say 3 is one of my favorites. 3 is sort of, if you like one and you like the other ones, it's kind of the ultimate Final Fantasy because it's very much mixes both of them. But 3 is not on sale this week.
No, it's not. It's still $20.
Yeah, but it's good $20.
Yeah.
So a lot of good Final Fantasy stuff. Yeah, I wound up buying I bought the Origins pack 3 days ago, and I was really mad when this sale started, but because I paid full price, which was still just $10, which is fine. Should we mention it's got Final Fantasy II on it?
It's got Final Fantasy II on it. Final Fantasy II is a game I have tried. It is probably the game I have tried to play more than any other game in my life because, again, it always comes bundled with Final Fantasy I ever since they were first released. And Final Fantasy II, the weirdest thing about that game is that they have, how the Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim games, how those games work is when how you level up is not the sort of traditional experience system. It's, when you hit dudes with your sword, you just get better at hitting dudes with your sword, and that very specifically increases based on how much you do that specific action. Final Fantasy II, as far as I know, is the first game to do that, and it did it in a turn-based game, and it is fucking awful. It is so bad, and it is such a terrible, terrible leveling system to have in a turn-based combat that don't play Final Fantasy II. Play Final Fantasy I, and then try to play Final Fantasy II, get 15 minutes into it, and do 3 fights, and be like, well, this sucks, and move on. Because that's what I've done countless times in my life.
All right. So, anything else to talk about with this? We just wanted to mention it because it's on sale. We like Final Fantasy. We will someday probably do a bigger episode talking about which ones we've played if there's another down week. But,
Then also should mention Final Fantasy Tactics. There's multiple versions is for sale. And then also the Dissidia game. And it's 2 versions are also on sale. So if you want to pick up those games while they're on sale, there they are.
Yeah, I'm really glad they had this sale because, man, I bought the Vita in part because it can play all the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to play through some of them again. So that's good. And that's the other... We have to just mention kudos to PlayStation Network. You actually have sales.
Yeah. It's not quite to the, mind-boggling levels of Steam, But
if you have PlayStation Plus, it is.
I don't know, dude. You don't know Steam sales until you go through Steam sales. Those things are fucking ridiculous. I bought so many fucking games that I still have not played because they were $1 to $2.
Wow.
But no. But
I mean,
compared to the Xbox 360
and the Wii doesn't have sales.
Yeah, that's good. I don't even think about it.
I know.
Who uses the internet on their Wiis?
People who don't have Xbox 360s or PlayStation 3s.
Precisely.
So anyway, now let's talk about. So those are some good games you can buy.
Yeah.
There's a bad game you can buy for the PS Vita specifically.
Yeah.
And it is actually the most expensive PS Vita game because
it is $50,
and most of them are $40.
Yes.
The rest of them, in fact, are $40, or they come down in price over time.
This is, and I should preface this with saying that I did not pay money for this game. Very specifically, the version of the Vita I bought came bundled with this game and a 4GB memory card for no extra price. So why not? Yeah, exactly. And it was really fucking weird. First of all, when I got it, just to say that, like, it was basically came in the Vita I got came in 2 boxes. And it was like you took off the first box, and then there was just a normal Vita box underneath it with the game and the memory card just sort of stuck inside there. It was like, they didn't even come up with unique packaging. They're just like, fuck it, we'll just put another box on it, and then just ship it out there. But anyways, so I did not pay any money for this. Thank God I did not pay any money for this game. But the game we are talking about is Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, the only Call of Duty game to be out for the Vita, and I believe on any handheld system, and it is fucking terrible. I should say I have only played about an hour of it, and it was the hour right before we started recording this podcast, because I wanted to talk about something on the podcast, and I had been dreading playing that game forever, because I had heard how bad it was, and I did not want to take out Persona 4 the Golden from my Vita, because it's like, I've already played 100 hours of Persona 4, and I'm 30 hours into Persona 4 the Golden, so it is consuming my life again. It just never stopped, honestly. Persona just never stopped. I just went from Persona 4 to Persona 3 Fest to now Persona 4 again, but with this really awesome version. It's just this long line of me not stopping playing Persona that I want to keep going for as long as possible, which the Vita will help me do. But anyways, I took out Persona 4 the Golden and put in Black Ops Declassified, and this will be my impressions of the hour I played, the only hour I will ever play Black Ops Declassified, this piece of shit that I then handed off to you so that you could experience it, because sometimes, misery loves company, and you need to experience this as well.
Yes.
So I put the thing in. First of all, the Vita games are so fucking tiny that every single time I touch it, I feel like it's going to snap in my hands. So it's like I delicately take out Persona 4 the Golden and put it on my velvet pillow that I keep my Persona games on, and then put Black Ops Declassified into the machine, and then it takes a minute for it to boot up after it installs. The load times in this game can be really atrociously long. They give me really bad PS1 flashbacks of just staring at a loading screen, and they don't even have a little spinny thing on there to let you know, hey dude, the game has not crashed yet. So you're just sitting there staring at the loading screen being like, I really hope this game didn't crash, because if I have to exit out of this program, I don't know if I'll be able to will myself to load it back up again. So it finally loads up. I have to download a patch, and again, while I was downloading the patch, I was like, I'll check out Final Fantasy IV for 2 minutes, because the Vita can luckily download patches while you're playing other games, which is really cool.
I want to mention that's one of my favorite things about the Vita is you can do pretty much anything the Vita can do simultaneously with anything else the Vita can do. It's nice.
Yeah. So that's really nice. You don't get this weird message like you always get with Xbox 360. It's just some random point that's your download has stopped because you're playing a game. And so then I download the patch, and I go in, start playing Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified. And for those of you who did not listen to our Call of Duty podcast, I never played Black Ops 1. That was when I stopped playing Call of Duty. So from what I understand, this game's story, and I really mean story in a very, very light sense, because their story is basically, dude says some shit to you at the beginning of a mission, and that's it. That is their story. But I think you play as 2 of the guys from Black Ops. It's not, they don't have the voice actors back. I know that for fucking sure. And I think it takes place after Black Ops, but obviously before Black Ops 2. I was using M16s and shit, so I think it was kind of recent, because there were guns that like are only in the Modern Warfare games that I know would not be like from like the 60s and 70s, like when Black Ops 1 was set. So I think it's like set in that interim period. So if you're really into Black Ops story, there may be something here. I would look more into it because I'm not the guy to go to because I have no idea the context of this.
I played Black Ops, and I couldn't tell you anything.
All I know is that like it's got like some Vietnam stuff and their numbers like lost, and that's all I know about it.
I know
and there are like
that.
a lot of celebrity voice actors in it. But anyways, so then Black Ops Declassified, I load up the tutorial mission, and first of all, I should say the graphics look really good. It is at least a pretty impressive showcase for the Vita. A lot of the stuff in this game is actually a pretty impressive showcase for the Vita's like capabilities, because you can recognize how much better they would be done in a like with a proper developer going behind it and making a good game. Like and all the like everything negative I'm about to say aside, it is still cool being a guy who, you know, I played the Game Boy Color so much back in the day with Pokemon. To just have this handheld system be so powerful that it plays a game that looks basically as good as the Call of Duty games do on the main consoles, and be able to take that online and play against other people online, that's still really, really fucking cool. It's not $50 cool because you do it for like a minute and then you like recognize how shitty the game is.
Yeah, but and here's the thing: you can get that cool experience playing Persona 4 or Rant or something else.
But specifically playing, it was an interesting experience playing a first-person shooter, particularly because they do their damnedest to try to like to do Call of Duty on the PS Vita, like completely disregarding the fact that the PS Vita is not a PS3, and so they do not make any effort to try to change how Call of Duty works to fit the handheld system. That's one of the biggest problems with the game. But how the game controls, which is kind of interesting, is, you know, obviously the PS Vita does not have all the buttons that a PS3 has. Notably, it does not have the extra bumpers. It only has the triggers, and then you can't click in the sticks. And basically everything is used in Call of Duty on the controls. So they had to make some considerations where, you know, to use your knife, you have to tap the knife icon on your touchscreen. To throw grenades, you have to tap the grenade icon on your touchscreen, which is super awkward because you cannot aim when you're throwing a grenade. Like, they do this stupid fucking thing where, you know, again, I only played like 1 hour, but whenever I decided to throw a grenade, I just tap the icon, because how you're supposed to, like, you know, cook your grenade and throw it like you do in a normal Call of Duty game whenever you throw a grenade, because the fuses are like 5 seconds long, is you have to, like, hold down on the icon and then drag it onto the screen where you want to throw it instead of using the analog stick.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't work. And so grenades are almost completely would it be completely useless if the AI was not so brain dead that they never ran away from grenades? Because again, the grenades take like 5 seconds to blow up if you don't cook it at all. And so, you know, there we go. That's one example of them not trying to change how Call of Duty works to fit the PS Vita. Is they're just like, we're going to try to make the touchscreen button just to be your bumper button that would throw grenades. Then also, I think one of the coolest little things they did with the controls that I think actually works really well is when you use a sniper and you go into the scope mode. You know, in Call of Duty, the scope will sort of like move around the screen, and in a normal console game, you'd have to hold down on the left stick or click in on the left stick to steady your breath for a couple of seconds to like steady the reticle. And in this game, how they do that, since you can't click in on the stick, is there's a rear touchpad on the PS Vita, and you just have to like press it. You can press it anywhere and just hold it down, and that's how you hold your breath. And that is a really smart use of that rear touchscreen. The rear touchscreen could also have been used to throw grenades in a really obvious way, or it could also be used to sprint, because another thing that you can't do, since you can't click in the stick, is sprint in Call of Duty. And so instead of trying to like maybe make your movement speed a little faster and not even try to do sprint like a sane person would when you're trying to develop this game, they put in this the stupidest fucking thing you could do is they put in by default this auto sprint feature where if you're moving forward and you move forward for like a second, you'll start doing your Call of Duty style sprint, which ends up making the movement feel really, really floaty because you have no control over when the sprint starts and stops. So if you want to like just go forward a little bit, you go forward a little bit. Your dude puts his gun down to start sprinting, which makes it so you can't shoot right away when you come out of it, and then you sort of like slides to a stop. And all of the controls do not feel anywhere near as responsive than they do in the Call of Duty like console games. So already the motion feels really floaty and awkward, but it's even like doubled if you have that auto sprint on. But then to compensate for that, I tried turning the auto sprint off because it's an option. But then how you sprint is by touching down on the D-pad and then moving forward on the left stick, which is really awkward. It's really hard to do because you can do it, but there's this really noticeable delay. Like you can't, it's super easy in the normal Call of Duty games on the consoles because you just, you're already moving forward and then you're clicking on the stick and it's completely seamless. They do not try to fix that. The obvious solution to that would be sprint. When you're not in sniper mode, when you hold down on the rear touchpad, you sprint because you're not using those fingers that are holding the back of the Vita for anything else. Completely baffling to me that they did not take advantage of that feature whatsoever.
Yeah, that's weird.
So anyway, that's how they sort of try to adapt the controls. All the normal buttons do what you expect them to do, circle crouches, square reloads, sort of X jumps. All that is normal. I should also say the aiming feels really awkward, and I don't know if it's... It actually, it kind of gives me the impression that with the PS Vita, they have, these smaller analog sticks that in, Persona 4 The Golden work absolutely perfectly because they don't demand a lot of, really skillful camera maneuvering like first-person shooter would. But Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified gives me the impression that a first-person shooter would work really well if it was much more like an old-school arcadey, Doom-style shooter, where it's really fast-paced and aiming is not that important, but moving is, and trying to dodge projectiles, that works so much better than a normal Call of Duty game because that aiming just feels super awkward, and you just have to, trying to aim precisely is near impossible. So anyways, that is how it controls. I should also, another note is that one of the most notable features of the mainline Call of Duty games on the consoles is that they always run at a sweet, buttery smooth 60 frames per second. That is a key feature that makes those games feel as responsive and as fun to play as they are on the consoles. And, props to the developers, Treyarch and Infinity Ward, for sticking to their guns and keeping those games at 60 frames per second because most of the industry is moving away from that. And, that's cool. It makes those games feel really good.
I didn't know that. What's the industry doing now?
The Halo 4, is 30 frames per second.
Really?
To accommodate for the fact that the consoles are as old as they are.
Okay.
Most games that come out now, they're not trying to hit the 60 frames per second because they reasonably can't and have graphics still be as good as they are. Notably, the most recent Devil May Cry remake. Those games on the PS2 always ran at 60 frames per second because those are really fast-paced, really hardcore, stylish action beat-em-up games. And the new Devil May Cry game runs at 30 frames per second if you play it on the consoles, which pissed a lot of people off because that's detracting from your actual ability to play the game. Same thing with Call of Duty, and the frame rate in the Vita version is not terrible. It's definitely not 60 frames per second, and it does, when I was playing multiplayer, it definitely chugged in some areas, but I would say it tends to stick around 30 frames per second. So that's something it's not awful, but it's something to make note of. This impression that this entire thing is just this really, it doesn't feel like a Call of Duty game. It feels like a really terrible knockoff of a Call of Duty game, and that's just what the entire game gives you. Everything feels floaty, the aiming is just awful, the frame rate is not what it needs to be, and then another technical aspect of it, I didn't even know I had this many complaints until I start saying all of them. The sound design in this game is awful. It is one of the worst things about this game. It is the worst fucking sound design I have heard from a modern game. It sounds like a PS1 game. The sound design is fucking terrible. And it was really funny, too, because, Persona 4 The Golden, that's a really good showcase for the sound from the Vita, because even, the speakers are not great in the Vita, but, they're serviceable. But when I have my headphones in the PS Vita, the sound sounds fucking great. They do not have to compromise that in any way.
I think I talked a couple weeks on the podcast. I bought some nice headphones for the PS3, the wireless ones.
Yeah.
Well, you can use analog and plug them into your Vita, and the Persona 4, for instance, sounds like a full console game. I mean, it sounds great.
The sound quality is phenomenal. It sounds better than the PS2 version of the game. The sound quality on Persona 4 The Golden is great. So it's not like the Vita. There's something weird about the Vita where it just always sounds bad when you have the headphones plugged in. And when I plugged in my headphones for Black Ops Declassified, I was like, I don't even need to have these plugged in because the game sounds so bad. Every single fucking gunshot, they have two gunshot sounds. There is, you shot a silenced gun, and you shot a non-silenced gun. It doesn't matter if you shot a submachine gun, an assault rifle, a sniper rifle, a light machine gun. They all sound exactly the fucking same. And they sound like these really low bitrate, shitty, crackly gun noises that sound like they're super artificial. They do not, when you play a Call of Duty game, they actually went and fucking recorded what that gun sounds like at a fucking firing range with super expensive recording equipment. This game, no, there's just some dude who like had like some synthesizer and was like, that kind of sounds like an AK-47, which also sounds like an M16, which sounds like a P90, which sounds like a Dragunov sniper rifle. Every single gun sounds exactly the same. And then it's also just like the ambient noise feels really awkward. It's super hard to explain, but the gunshots and the ambient noise do not feel like they match. Like it feels like the gunshots are like from like it feels like I'm playing this video game and the gunshots are coming from the video game, but I also have a TV on and all the ambient noise is coming from the TV. Like they sound like they're from completely different things. So
that's weird.
Yeah. The voices sound like voices though. Okay. I mean, the voice acting has some really choice lines like, no fucking way. They say fuck a lot in this game. It's kind of endearing. But, the voices, those sound like voices. Although also the enemies, when you shoot them and they say whatever dumb things that Call of Duty enemies say when they die in some like fakey foreign language, that also sounds really awful. That sounds like, like when you shoot dudes in Wolfenstein 3D from like 1991. Exactly. It is like super crackly. It's like, someone fucking is playing it on the DOS box or something. It's fucking ridiculous. So the sound design, fucking terrible. It just amazed me how bad it was, because I thought for a second something was wrong with my Vita, and I had to, load up a different game and be like, no, this sounds perfectly fine. It's like I was really afraid, my earbuds, blew out or something. It was like, this sounds terrible.
So, basically what I'm gathering is that Declassified, they basically put out the least amount of effort they possibly could just so people would buy it, and at that point they stopped caring. Buy it.
The studio Nihilistic, I did not look at what other games they've worked on, but this is not... Treyarch did not make this game. Infinity Ward did not make this game. It is some sub-licensed developer called Nihilistic that Sony hired that... I know, there are probably some really nice guys working at Nihilistic, but they did not make a very good game. But anyways... That's just all the stuff sort of mechanically with the game and the presentation of the game that's really awful. Now let's get into what happens when you actually play the game. So you play the tutorial, you sort of get a good sense of how it plays, and then you're like, alright, I'm ready for this innovative new handheld Call of Duty experience. This is the only way you can play Call of Duty on the go on my PS Vita. Let's load up the campaign mode, and you quickly discover, first of all, there are 9 missions. At least, I assume so, because you can see 9 missions, and they are all locked other than the first one. So maybe there's, some secret, 25 missions that you get when you beat mission 9. I do not think that's the case, based on how sparse the rest of the content in this game is. So there are 9 missions, you load into the first one, and the first thing that struck me when I loaded into the first mission of Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified was the cutscene that started at the beginning with some dude talking to you that I completely skipped. The second thing I noticed was in the bottom left corner, there was a little thing that said time played, and it was 0:00:00. I was like, that's really weird.
Yeah.
That's a strange thing to just put on the screen. And then the game starts off, there's this dumb little Call of Duty cutscene type thing. I'm setting up a bomb, and the bomb blows up and kills 2 guys, and then I'm like, this is going off the fucking rails. I gotta go kill these people who are doing things, I guess. And there's a rack of guns. I get the guns, and I see the timers going up in the corner. I'm like, I wonder if I put on a weird option. So I go to the settings, and it's no, there's no display time played counter. And it's I get rid of that, and then I quickly realize that as I play the mission, and I kill all the dudes, and I finish the mission, and I finish the mission in 4 minutes, that all of these missions are time trial missions. And I'm led to believe that every single mission is at most probably 5 minutes long, because I then went on to mission number 2 and noted that they put on there may have actually been a time limit in mission 1 that I did not notice because I wasn't paying attention to it, but in mission 2 I definitely noticed the timer, because there's a timer at the top that's like a minute long, and you have to rescue these hostages in mission 2 before that timer runs out, and then you have to go rescue another group of hostages before that timer runs out again, because it resets. But so that's, there you go. You have 9 missions in the campaign that are each at most about 5 minutes long. That is not a campaign. I don't know what that is. I don't know what they're expecting people to do with this mode. I mean, it feels like maybe if you really are just playing Call of Duty completely on the go, a time trial mode, yeah, okay. You could play one of those missions while you're on the bus, say.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that I do not also want like a fully featured Call of Duty style campaign with like crazy shit going on and like buildings exploding and like really interesting action set pieces. You know, it's not. I want a Call of Duty game in my fucking Call of Duty game. Even though I kind of dislike a lot of the stuff that Call of Duty has done in the recent shit. If I buy a Call of Duty game, I want some of the crazy shit in Call of Duty games. I don't want some neutered bullshit time trial mode with a couple of cutscenes and some voice acting at the beginning of every mission that pretends it's a fucking single-player first-person shooter campaign. Because it's like the most insulting fucking thing about the entire game is that is their single-player mode. Like, that is what you're supposed to do if you do not want to play Call of Duty multiplayer, is play 5 minutes of some bullshit mission. And then you also realize, while you are playing this mission, that not only is the sound quality from 1991, but the AI for the enemies, that also came straight the fuck out of 1991. Because the AI that fucking is awful. It is so bad. It is so bad that the reason I discovered that there was a timer at the top of the screen that I was not paying attention to is that I ran into that fail state where you run out of time because I was standing there while there were two enemies who were by these like windows that like there's like this like hidden like windowsill and like this doorway in the middle, and they were both behind those windows, crouched down, shooting into the wall for 30 seconds, and I just stood there watching, waiting for them to stand the fuck up and shoot at me. And I ran out of time because I was sitting there watching them do that for so fucking long, which leads me to believe that the reason why the timer is there is so that you don't see the AI being the AI for long enough to realize this is the worst fucking AI I have ever seen. I have ever seen in a first-person shooter, and I've played some pretty old fucking first-person shooter games. Like, Doom has significantly better AI than this. Doom's enemies at least can fucking attack you. The most effective strategy to fight these enemies is to literally go to the doorway that leads into, because it's super linear. Every single one is like you walk down a corridor to a doorway to a slightly wide room that has like 5 dudes in it. That is every single encounter in this game. You stand slightly to the side of the doorway, just enough that you can see into the room, but also just enough that they won't shoot you because you are like partially concealed by a wall, but you can shoot them. That is like, you can just like cheese your way through every single fight just by doing that. And then also, you know, they will not run away from grenades most of the time. If they do, like, decide to move, they will just run straight the fuck at you with no consideration for taking cover or anything. They will just stand in place and shoot you. It is awful. It is so fucking bad. Then also, you discover that half the time the knife just decides it does not want to auto-lock because it's already kind of awkward trying to, like, touch screen when you're trying to hit someone with a melee knife. And, like, sometimes it'll do the little lunge in the Call of Duty games. Sometimes you're just sitting there swinging at him like a fucking asshole, being like, why I'm even deciding to use the knife? I should just walk to the doorway and shoot him from there, like it's worked with every other dude. And then also, I never actually fully completed Mission 2. I basically got to the end of it like 5 times. Here's another thing to note, is that since the missions are only about 5 minutes long, there are no checkpoints. So if you lose, you always have to start from the very beginning. Like, every single mission in this game is like a super, super shitty version of the Mile High Club from Modern Warfare. Like, it is that length, it has the timer, and you have to get to the end. And then Mission 2 specifically also has that if you shoot one of the hostages, it will end the game. Which is, I always hate fail states like that, where, like, one, you have me timed, so I'm trying to rush, because the timer is not particularly generous, because they don't want you to see how shitty the AI is. And then also, it's really, really hard to distinguish the hostages in the second, like, encounter from the normal dudes. So about 5 different times I ran in there trying to aim and shoot the dudes, but I ended up accidentally popping one of the hostages in the face because there's no point in trying to aim in the game because it's so awkward, so you're just spraying everywhere. So I never ended up beating Mission 2, and it was awful. Another thing that was really shitty about it is that it's really hard to tell how much health you have, because it has the Call of Duty thing where when you get shot, like, the red shit encroaches from the edge of the screen, and that's how you judge, like, you know, if your vision's really blurred and really red, you know you're about to die. That effect is so slight on the Vita that it's like I cannot tell the difference from I'm about to drop dead to I just took a bullet in the foot. Like, there's no degree there. It's like there's either some red on my screen or there's no red on my screen, and that is it. So I died multiple times thinking I almost had full health, when in reality I didn't. So that's the single player campaign. That is the time trial mode. Funnily enough, there is actually a time trial mode that is basically, like the beginning of like Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2 where you run through an obstacle course and shoot a bunch of like cardboard targets. That's a mode in the game. So it's like, and it is a time trial mode. So they have 2 different time trial modes. One that has really good AI and one that has really shitty AI. The really good AI is the cardboard one because, it just pops up and sticks there, does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's like normal campaign. Humans do not behave like that. Humans do not just sit down with a gun by a wall and just shoot into the wall. One of the funniest ones, the first time I encountered that issue of that enemies will just shoot into walls and have like, they did not put something in the AI for the game for the enemies to recognize the fact that they are shooting bullets that are hitting something 5 feet in front of them and not shooting me. That there was a dude like in one of the first encounters in Mission 1 who I thought I had cleared this area, but it really wanted me to kill every dude, so I'm like, where's the last dude? I keep on hearing gunshots, and then I look up and I see this like gun, like strobing, like shot effect, like phasing through this wall. I'm like, there's a dude who's up on this balcony, crouched down, who has been shooting into this wall for the entire firefight. I would never have known that dude was there if he wasn't just constantly shooting into the wall directly in front of him. So I just lobbed a grenade awkwardly right up into him and killed him that way. So that's what the campaign of the game is like. Then I decided, this is Call of Duty. What the fuck am I doing playing the campaign? Let's bring this bitch online, because that's what everybody wants to do with Call of Duty. And I should say, it connected really quickly. I had no networking issues. I don't know if, like, other people have, but, I only played 3 games. But, so, it connected really quickly. It's like seems like it has all the ranking stuff that a normal Call of Duty game has. And I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's go online. I select, let's get into a match. And then there's, like, a list of different... I didn't even pay attention to all the modes. It seems like there were 6 of them because I was like, Team Deathmatch. That's what you play when you play Call of Duty. You just play Team Deathmatch. And then I loaded into the map. I think it's called Shipment. It's one of the maps from Modern Warfare where it's like this really small square with a bunch of cargo containers in it. So I loaded into that. I was like, that's kind of cool. I remember that map. I also remember that you never played on that map in Modern Warfare 1 because it was super, super tiny. And I quickly discovered that in Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, the maximum number of players you can have, at least in Team Deathmatch, I'm led to believe this is the case for everything, because when you bring up the player roster, it fills the entire screen with the available player roster with 4v4. So you can only do 4v4 games in Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, at the very least on Team Deathmatch. I have not verified if that's the case on the other modes. But on Team Deathmatch, it's 4v4, which is really, really small, and that's still too big for that fucking map. And so, basically my experience was, I loaded into the map, I quickly noted nobody else in that game was higher than rank 5, so I think I was playing with a bunch of other dudes who bought the same bundle that I bought, who were like, fuck it, let's give this piece of shit a try, and we all ended up, because I think I never, through the course of my 3 games, saw anybody above level 8. And I got to level 5 in 3 games. Like, I leveled up super fucking fast.
And Call of Duty players are crazy.
Yeah, no, there are people who will, do, the maximum prestige shit, day 1 when a new Call of Duty comes out. So, I was expecting to see, some, super, Call of Duty loyal diehard fans playing the game. And there may be a bunch of them out there. It may be a huge coincidence, but my only impression of the game is that is not the case, that at least the vast majority of the people playing the game are people like me who are just giving it a spin and then going to put it away or hand it off to one of their friends to laugh at their misery with having to play the shitty game too. Anyway, so my experience playing the multiplayer was, one, still kind of cool that you can play, the connection was totally fine. I loaded into a game in a minute. It was there was no lag to speak of. That was pretty fucking cool that I was able to play a first-person shooter on a handheld system, on my couch, with no lag to speak of. That's pretty fucking awesome. Unfortunately, the game, again, since all of the control problems obviously carry over to the multiplayer as well, the multiplayer basically consisted of everybody running around like a fucking jackass because the auto-sprint makes it so awkward to control, but if you have it off, it's you can't just, you move so slowly without it on, that's you have to have it on. And then everyone just spraying in every fucking direction imaginable, because there's no point in trying to have, precision aiming. And so I actually did pretty fucking good in my first game. I definitely had a positive kill to death spread. Like I said, I got to level 3, I just, blew through the first 2 levels in my first game. I unlocked, create a class, went in again, played on the same map. I should say I only played on shipment, but I'm led to believe that every other map is about that same size because I looked online because I did not want to play the game anymore for a reason I'll get into, like my crowning piece of shit why I will never play this game again. I'm going to put that at the end. But so
I did not realize, Sean, you were doing a full hour-long review.
No,
of Call of Duty.
I didn't realize I was going to do this either. But and again, I only played this for a fucking hour, and this is all the shitty stuff I can pick out from it. There's no, I did not come into this being like I'm going to tear this game to pieces. But as soon as I started talking about it, I'm like, I had an awful time playing this game. So yeah, I only played on shipment with all 3 of my matches. But again, I looked online quickly, and my impression is that all of those maps are about that same size, so they all have the same problem of you just spawn and die, spawn, die, spawn, die, spawn, die, because the map is so fucking small that even if the match is only 4v4, there's no room to maneuver. There's no room to do any to camp, to snipe. You can get sniper rifles. I tried to use a sniper rifle. I got a headshot. That was my crowning achievement in the fucking game, completely by accident. I wasn't even scoped in when I did it. It was the first time I was okay, I have my class. I was I'll just spawn in, use the sniper class, whatever. Just spawned in, spun around, saw a dude, shot, hit him in the head, complete fucking accident. I saw the little head shot thing pop up, and then I died as soon as I did it too, because there's another guy over there. I was I got a headshot. I can't fucking believe I got a headshot in the game. And so, yeah, that match went completely the same. It has, the kill streaks and shit that normal Call of Duty has. All the leveling shit seemed like it was the same as a normal Call of Duty game. And then I went to the third game, had the exact same experience. And then the other mode in the game, I'll just mention this briefly, is this firefight horde mode type thing of just, you have to survive against the awful AI as they come in waves. And that was the most fun I had with the game, because seeing that AI try to find you and kill you is the best part. Because when that timer is not there, you can just sit and watch the AI be fucking idiots forever. And that is literally the most fun I had in the entire game, was just watching the AI be really terrible at being AI enemies in a video game. I played that for 2 waves, and that was fucking dumb. The doorway trick came in real handy with that one. I got a crossbow that shoots explosive crossbow bolts. That's kind of cool. Popped a lot of dudes with shotguns. Then I ended that, and that was it for my Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified experience. But I have to end with, I may have played the game a little bit more, but I feel like I almost physically cannot, because the game made me physically ill while I was playing it. Over the course of this podcast, I still feel vaguely nauseous, because I am a person who, I don't get motion sickness really quickly, but I get it very reliably. If I ever go on a car trip for, if I'm in a car for, more than 12 hours at a time, even if I'm in the front seat, I will get nauseous. And if, when I was a kid and we went on car trips, I would always get really car sick over the course of those trips. So I'm a person who gets motion sick, and I do have a problem where I play PC games, where there's a thing called field of view, FOV, in video games, where if you're playing a console game, you have a very small field of view. It's basically sort of the angle through which you see through to the game. That when you're playing a console game and you're sitting on your couch looking at the TV, your peripheral vision does not come into account at all with the game. You're just looking at a very narrow field of view. That's how Call of Duty games work. PC games are, you play with the PC very close to you, and so PCs need to have a much wider field of view for you to be able to play the game comfortably if you're someone like me. And there's a lot of people who have this problem where your peripheral vision sort of kicks into effect when the screen is close enough to you, and if the field of view is very narrow, but you're still using your peripheral vision, it will make you nauseous if you get motion sickness. And so I have that problem with a lot of first-person shooters that are console ports onto the PC that I'm not able to play if they don't have an FOV slider. It's a big problem in PC games. It's something that's really fucking frustrating if you run into it, because you can't, you just can't play the game. Even if the game was good and you want to have a lot of fun with it, if you recognize the game's good, you just can't play it for more than an hour at a time, and you just don't want to play it because it makes you physically sick. Now then, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified magnified that problem tenfold. I have never had it kick in so fast for me, because I realized it has basically the same FOV as a normal Call of Duty game, but since you're playing a handheld system and you're bringing it really close to your face, it is super awful. It is really bad. It kicked in really quickly, and so I could not play the game for more than an hour, because it's I was just started feeling sick. I was I I can't play this. Like, it was actually good that the game had really long loading screens, because I was just like, put the game down for like a minute and be like, fucking Jesus, I can't play this game anymore. Yeah. So if you are a person who gets, and I looked up online and there were a bunch of people who had this problem too, it wasn't just me. So if you're a person who gets motion sick, and like especially if you have that problem when you play some PC first-person shooters, don't play this game. If you are like, yeah, that game sounds really shitty, but I would still like it for whatever reason, if you were listening to my huge spiel and you thought that, don't buy the fucking game, because it will make you sick if you are a person like me who gets car sick. Don't do it. It's just like, that is, you're paying $50 to throw up. This is not a good idea. So, not only is this one of the worst games I've ever played of all time, just like mechanically, in terms of AI, in terms of sound design, in terms of presentation, in terms of like loading times, but then it made me physically ill playing it, which is not a fucking compliment.
No.
So
I would not imagine.
So, Jonathan, I hope after that, I very quickly took the cartridge out of my PS Vita, put Persona 4 the Golden back into its home, its lovely little cushiony seat inside the PS Vita, and handed that piece of shit off to you. I hope you get physically ill. I hope you have as awful an experience as I had, because this game is shit.
I don't think I'm probably going to play it. I got, a PlayStation Plus membership when I got my Vita, so I have a ton of games for this thing, and I'm still just really playing Persona 4. So it's so far down the list of things I might try.
Here is what I recommend if you find yourself in a position like I did and a great many people did, where if you buy this PS Vita bundle and you have a copy of Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified completely unwarranted that you don't really want but you got for free, so it's like, I just got something that was cost $50 for free, so you feel compelled to get it, and then also it comes with the memory card, which is a nice bonus. Go online, play it online for 1 minute, and then quit out, take it out, delete the thing from your PS Vita so it's not on your home screen anymore, and then put it away and never play it again. Okay. Because it's really fucking cool. Actually, no, fuck it. Okay, yeah, do it online, and then go into the wave-based mode, stand at the edge of the doorway, and watch the AI try to kill you for 2 minutes. Okay. Do that too, because that's also a bunch of fun. And then take it out, delete it, never look at it again, hand it off to your friends, pass it down your family line so everyone can know how awful this game is. That is my recommendation if you have this game on hand. Certainly do not pay any money for it. It is a massive blemish on the Call of Duty name, and it's super unfortunate because, again, while I was playing the game, the online functionality worked really great, and I can recognize how a very complex console-style first-person shooter could work on the PS Vita if it was made by people who had a lot better idea of how to make it than these guys. This is not a slight to the PS Vita at all. The PS Vita can do really good graphics, it can do really good sound, it can do really good gameplay, it's a really great machine. This game does not showcase that in any capacity. That's it. Fuck Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified.
Well, I should note if you want the bundle, you can get that same bundle with Assassin's Creed Liberation and some other stuff. Those are supposed to be better.
I've heard that game is better.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't be worse, could it?
Yeah, that's actually that. It would be pretty hard to make a game worse than this, and actually be trying to make a game.
Yeah,
it is really bad.
Okay, so that's sort of the end of our big for our unexpected Call of Duty discussion. That came out of nowhere. Talking about a several-month-old game.
It is a very awful. That game will be awful for all time. All right. It doesn't matter when it came out.
So let's transition into. This isn't our main topic. We've had several main topics on this podcast, but a topic that we think is fun and we hope you will enjoy, and that is celebrity voice casting in anime. Now, it's been a while since the podcast didn't intend for it to go this long, so let's do a quick recap, Sean. What is the point of this exercise?
The point of this exercise is to have a bunch of fun and just mesh things that do not mesh. Hollywood voices, Hollywood actors, and really goofy, really long-running, but really awesome Japanese anime series.
Yes.
And
so, I hope we can remember all the crazy voices we came up with the other night.
Hopefully.
I think we can. We will start with Dragon Ball Z, which is the thing that started this whole thing, and Dragon Ball Z, I think, is the best anime for this exercise.
I agree.
It's probably got the best cast of characters, biggest, most colorful.
And it's just it's so well-known and so prominent that it's everybody knows who Goku is. Everybody can recognize, that dude's Goku because his hair is crazy.
So, let's start with Goku. So, Sean, we have, Son Goku, main character. He's a big guy on the poster. So let's say Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods coming out in America. You go to the theater. There's a poster. It's got Goku. Who does it say as Goku on the poster?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is Son Goku.
Yes,
this makes sense because he's the shit right now. Like,
exactly. He was motherfucking Robin, but not Robin in Dark Knight Rises.
And he was in Looper. He's been in a bunch of good stuff.
Yeah,
and he's the age you would get for this probably. And I think this would actually be good casting.
Yeah, that is kind of the weirdest part of it. Is that I think he could actually kind of pull it off. Other than maybe. I mean, the reason why I wanted Joseph Gordon-Levitt being Goku is I just want to hear him say Kamehameha! Because, that's what you come to Dragon Ball Z for, is like the crazy fights and like the huge moves and the ridiculousness that it gets to with those fight scenes. And just seeing Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like hearing him try to like pull off some of those lines would be spectacular.
Yeah. As far as celebrity casting goes, I think this one would be funny. I think the interesting thing here is that, in his original Japanese form, Goku is defined by his energy and happiness and all those things. Joseph Gordon-Levitt doesn't usually play happy characters.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's what would be kind of funny.
But he could do it. He could bring out his inner Goku, inner Saiyan.
So, let's go to something sillier next.
Sillier.
All right. Vegeta, Goku's rival, eventual friend, ally, bad guy of the first story arc in the Z portion of the story.
The originator of the classic anime character trope of this dude is the villain in like the first major storyline of like this section, and then he begrudgingly becomes your friend, and then over the course of the series he becomes your stalwart ally, like BFF.
And, fucks your one female friend, has a baby. No, that doesn't
that's getting a little more specific than the trope tends to go.
But I think for Vegeta we had an idea of an actor who we wanted this guy in an anime somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think this is where you'd have to put him.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it?
I can't actually remember. Can you remember?
It's Al Pacino.
Yes! That is right! It was fucking Al Pacino.
As Vegeta. How great would it...
I'm glad I forgot who I chose to be Vegeta, so that now I can remember, and I can remember why.
Yeah.
Because that would be great!
I mean, this would be very much in the weird thing Chris Sabat does, where he does the really scratchy, growly voice.
Yeah, and he yells all the time.
Which doesn't really, that's not really the character, but that's just what Al Pacino sounds like in real life now.
Yeah, no, it's like totally crazy modern Al Pacino. Totally pull off Vegeta.
Yes.
He's just like the shouting. He just do the fucking shouting. That's what you need. That's what you need in a Vegeta.
Yes. So, you want to stick with some of the main characters?
Sure, let's go down the main line.
Alright. Well, let's go with, some of Son Goku's friends. Bulma. We were just referencing her. She's Vegeta's fuck buddy at a certain point in the series, mother of Trunks. Now,
it's kind of insulting to call her for this fuck buddy when they had a kid together and they stayed together for the entire series past that point.
Okay, stayed together. They,
Okay. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. I just did air quotes. That doesn't work on the podcast format, I don't think. Anyway, so Bulma, I think this is where you start to go, we're going to go Academy Award winning here.
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway is Bulma.
Yes.
Definitely.
Totally makes sense.
She played Catwoman.
Yeah.
She plays Bulma.
Yes. All right. Krillin in the English dub.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for English people to say Kuririn.
Yeah.
All right. So Krillin, I think Krillin has to be Tom Hanks.
Krillin does have to be Tom Hanks. He's there's this softness but nobleness to Krillin that I think Tom Hanks can capture. I mean, I think it would be really interesting to see if Tom Hanks really went for it. He shaved his head. He put some dots on his forehead
just to voice it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tom Hanks is a very dedicated actor. Dude, every time he went into a voice for Toy Story, he wore a cowboy hat. You know that. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but you know that's true. You can tell from the voice.
All right. So who else have we got?
Who else do we have? So let's move on to Piccolo. Who do we pick for Piccolo?
Piccolo, you had a great choice for Piccolo. And this we're talking about, Piccolo Jr., not Piccolo Daimao. I think Al Pacino would make a great Piccolo Daimao also. But we should figure out a good Piccolo Daimao too. But Piccolo Jr., who's the main Piccolo in the Z series, obviously, would have to be Benedict Cumberbatch.
He would have to be Benedict Cumberbatch because...
star of Sherlock, if you don't know.
Yes, also the soon-to-be Smaug in The Hobbit, soon-to-be Everyone who thought was going to be Khan, but obviously wasn't going to be Khan, and Star Trek Into Darkness. Yeah, but yes.
What would Benedict Cumberbatch bring to this part?
A British accent. A motherfucking British accent. And a British-ass name.
Yes.
That would look great on a poster.
Uh-huh. I'm just imagining the Piccolo character poster he's doing, the Makanko Sapo, and it says Benedict Cumberbatch as Piccolo.
But I would prefer if they called it Special Beam Cannon like they did with the Funimation dub, just because I want to hear Benedict Cumberbatch say Special Beam Cannon in his Britishy voice.
So this would be, Toshiro Furukawa, who plays Piccolo in the Japanese version. He definitely captures this thing that they kind of abandoned in the English dub, which is he's a highly intelligent character, thinks his way through life, strategizes. He comes up with the strategy that helps them beat Raditz, those sorts of things. He's all about strategy. So I think that's what... Benedict Cumberbatch would probably not do the loud shouting Piccolo, but he'd really get the smart Piccolo.
Yeah. And the British Piccolo. That's the most important part. I don't know why. Piccolo needs a British accent. Here's a new rule. All the Namekians have a British accent. That is a new rule. That is their planet accent. Okay,
so then I just steer into the skid. Who is the Kami-sama? Who's Kami-sama in this version?
That's a good question.
Ian McKellen. Michael Gambon. There's so many good options.
I kind of like Michael Gambon a little more.
I like Michael Gambon too.
His voice is a little more gruff.
Yeah.
Sort of captured that Kami gruffness.
Dende.
Who's Dende? Who's a good
we need
who's the dude who played Ron in Harry Potter?
Rupert Grint.
You get that dude to play Dende.
I love it. That's great.
Just a much more, but I guess Dende, for those who are not particularly familiar with his character, is I've never have watched to the point of the Japanese version of where Dende. I've never heard his Japanese voice. But in English, that is just some useless, fucking, just annoying little ponce of a character where he just walks around. And he's actually, the weirdest thing about Dende in the show is in that, the section where he's important is the Frieza bit, where he has his healing powers, and they use him like a fucking cheat code, where it's they just, because Saiyans get more power when they're near death and they come back from a near-death experience, so they just beat up Vegeta and have Dende bring him back to life. It's that's kind of cheap. Just does though. I mean, it makes sense, but it seems like something a fan would come up with about the show. Is why did they just take the Eagles to Mordor? It's why did they just beat up Vegeta and heal him constantly? Why did the Saiyans just do that?
Well, anyway, I think Rupert Grint would make a great Dende.
Yeah.
Who's a badass action hero who could play Nail?
Liam Neeson.
No, we have Liam Neeson for someone better, Sean.
Liam Neeson.
You're not remembering this.
Liam Neeson can play everybody, but
no, I think there's someone better for Nail. I don't know.
I can't think of enough just British actors that could play Nail.
Okay, well, my first reaction was Tom Hardy, but I think Tom Hardy could also be in something better, because Nail's a pretty minor character.
Yeah, but it would be great to see Tom Hardy doing his Bane voice for Nail.
I think Tom Hardy could do his Bane voice for Cell.
That is a good point. That
was where we were, and I think that's who we originally said.
Yeah.
No, we had... Okay, we'll go off. We're done with the Namekians anyway.
Yeah, we've casted this so many times over.
I know.
We're just probably going to come up with completely different casting past this point.
But okay, so Tom Hardy would be good for Nail. Liam Neeson would be good for Nail. Tom Hardy would be good for Cell. But I think the best Cell idea we had was Michael Fassbender, who is Magneto in X-Men First Class. He was in the sex addiction drama Shame. He's a great actor.
But most notably, he was in Prometheus. It's a phenomenal film.
Shut the fuck up, Sean.
I mean, just the best showcase for any actor is being in Prometheus, I feel. Obviously.
But anyway.
The movie that's Prometheus is to movies what Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified is to video games. It's just phenomenal works of art.
That might be the meanest thing we've ever said about Prometheus. Or Call of Duty. One of the two.
This is honestly, probably is.
Yeah. All right. So, no, but Michael Fassbender is Cell, specifically perfect form Cell, if you think about this.
Yeah.
Now, Cell, if you don't know, villain of the third major Dragon Ball Z story arc. He's made from, cells of other villains and heroes. And he's kind of like Frieza in that he's super intelligent, but he's got more of an edge to him, I would say. And... actually, Cell is one of the few voice actors I liked in the Funimation English dub.
The perfect Cell.
I forget that actor's name. Travis Willingham? No, that's the one from Kai. Sorry, I don't know who this was in the original Dragon Ball Z, but he was good.
Yeah.
He's great in Japanese. I wish I could remember the guy's name. Michael Fassbender would give a performance like that, just super intelligent, not give a fuck.
Mm-hmm. Just like the dude knows that he's like the perfect life form, so it's like, let's just have a tournament because we're in an anime. That's what we do. We have fighting tournaments.
That lasts like I think one round, and then he destroys in his first fight. No, the first fight's with Mr. Satan. So
yeah.
But in any case, so that would be a good Cell. But Cell's the other major villain of Z that everyone loves would be Frieza.
Yes.
Now, Michael Fassbender would be great for Cell. He'd probably do an interesting Frieza too. But I think the best Frieza you could possibly have is Mark Hamill.
Yes.
Yes.
It's sort of going outside the box with our rules of like celebrity voice casting because Mark Hamill's a celebrity. But
he was Luke Skywalker. It's good enough.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like nowadays, he's a proper voice actor, which is why I kind of feel like because that's the reason we're not casting him because of his performance as Luke. We're obviously casting him because he's fucking awesome as the Joker in the Batman animated series.
Now, this would be a very different voice than Joker because it wouldn't be high pitched like that. Because while the DBZ dub will tell you something different, Frieza does not have a high pitched voice. He is a man, in fact, or male in his voice at least.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck he actually is.
Probably androgynous, as far as we can tell.
But I think Mark Hamill could do a really interesting Frieza. But you are correct. He is not a major celebrity. He's not the guy you put on the main poster. Mark Hamill in Dragon Ball Z.
Again, he's one of the best American voice actors there are. So it's like it's kind of cheap casting him.
So who else do we put in there as Frieza?
Who else would be a really, really good Frieza? Denzel Washington. I feel like Denzel Washington. I don't know why exactly. But you see what I mean? Like, no! You don't? Come on. Like, Denzel Washington is great as villain. Just awesome. And it's like, he's just like... Frieza needs to be black at the very least. Like, that's all I'm saying. And Denzel Washington's black, and Denzel Washington's awesome. Frieza. Denzel Washington. Come on.
I want to see it now. I'll say that.
It's got like a southern accent thing going on. It'd be great.
Okay.
So there we go. We've got Denzel Washington as Frieza. See, what other roles? Let's move on. What other characters can we get?
The only other, the only major black character in Dragon Ball Z is Mr. Popo. And I think this was the most obvious piece of casting to me in the entire thought exercise we did, is Keith David as Mr. Popo.
Yes. Again, kind of cheating because Keith David is also a really accomplished voice actor, but...
Then Morgan Freeman. And have Mr. Popo narrate the series.
Sure, yeah. Why not? Just, fuck it. Let's just march with the penguins, this motherfucker. Morgan Freeman's Mr. Popo, and he's also the narrator. Maybe not even necessarily Mr. Popo's the narrator. Morgan Freeman definitely is.
Yes.
Because
Dragon Ball Z in English has always had this weird narrator thing who just likes to say, next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
That is another tangent. That is the best fucking part about the entire English dub of the show, is just hearing that dude, as the series gets more and more ridiculous as it goes on, try to say those recaps with his really, really badass voice where it's like, can Gohan survive the onslaught of Frieza? Will Goku be able to go Super Saiyan in time? And what of the Spirit Bomb? Will it be powerful enough to save the universe from this alien menace? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
All right.
Best part of the whole show.
Are there any other female characters in this show we should cast? I really like Videl, and I think we need to cast Videl. Yeah. She's one of my favorites. And we already used Anne Hathaway, and I think Anne Hathaway is a good Bulma.
Yeah.
But, so maybe Videl we go a little younger. Anne Hathaway's, she's in her late 20s, early 30s. Yeah. Someone in their, early 20s.
Emma Stone.
I really like that.
Emma Stone is Videl.
That's not even a funny choice. That's just
that's actually, that's legitimately, that is, if I had to, just even ignoring voice actors, that would kind of just be my straight-up pick for Videl.
That's the kind of character she plays when she's a high schooler. Yeah. Is that kind of, she's really nice and caring, but she's also got this harder edge. Yeah. She can kick ass. Emma Stone's never, fought in a movie, I guess, but, she could.
And she's only voicing it, so she doesn't need to fight.
That's true. So who's Gohan? Who's adult Gohan? Young Gohan I don't quite know, because I think there's a lot of good young male voices out there who could do it. Yeah,
and it's also, this is the hardest part of this entire experience. This is actually the hardest thing about just English dubs and anime in general, is that anime tends to have a lot of really young characters. And there's something about the quality of a lot of Japanese voices and the Japanese language that makes it so that women voicing men feels a lot more natural in Japanese than it does in English, where unless it's of Timmy Turner or something, it's really obvious. It's like really hard to give a really good dramatic performance.
Timmy Turner is obvious. It's just good.
Yeah, but Timmy Turner's really like, you can give a really good, like in a comedy, you can give a really good performance. Like a lot of, you don't need to have to find this really phenomenal female voice actor who can like deliver that voice. But yeah, that's the hardest part. Would be trying to find a good like kid voice.
Right, like there's no equivalent to Masako Nozawa in English, and
exactly.
she's the perfect Goku and Gohan. But if for English celebrity casting, I think for young Gohan, I don't know. You'd have to get like the kid from Hugo or something like that, like someone who's been in a major movie like that. But
it's like if only it was the '80s and we could just get Macaulay Culkin. Like
that'd be great.
Only we could get like really young Macaulay Culkin to be young Gohan.
That's what we'll just leave it at that for young Gohan. Macaulay Culkin. But
Time Machine, we get young Macaulay Culkin, Home Alone.
Adult Gohan playing opposite Emma Stone. This is so fucking obvious. You get Andrew Garfield.
Yeah. Just make a Spider-Man.
Well, because the one of my favorite parts of the series is Gohan is the great Saiyaman, and he's in high school and he's fighting crime and he's
that is fucking it's Spider-Man. It's straight up just because it's him. He's trying to be a superhero in high school and trying to like balance his relationships with this girl. It's just Spider-Man.
And so get Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. It'd be great. And redubbed, like instead of this would not be a movie, this would be like their celebrity dub of that just arc in the series.
Yeah.
I think this is good.
Yeah, I can definitely see
productive. That. Yes. All right, let's go to some of the more obscure Dragon Ball Z characters.
Yeah,
I have a great idea for Tenshinhan.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
And I think this is so obvious. I don't know how you couldn't do it. It's Vin Diesel.
That's actually really fucking good.
Yeah.
Vin
if you gave Vin Diesel a third eye, he would be Tenshinhan in real life.
Yeah,
that's what he looks like.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
As close as you can.
Sure.
Okay.
But Vin Diesel is Tenshinhan. That would work. That would work really well. He's got sort of like that gravelly, intimidating thing going on.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, so who's Chaozu? This is a harder one. Who do we get as Chaozu?
Tom Hardy. Sorry.
Because Chaozu is actually probably, that's one of the hardest ones to cast because he's such a weird, little, tiny mime dude who just has telekinesis powers and falls around Tenshinhan because he's like weirdly obsessed with him. Okay,
I'm gonna go with something here.
Okay,
Chaozu is voiced by a woman in Japanese, very high pitched voice. So let's cast a woman here.
Okay,
I'm saying Meryl Streep is Chaozu. Academy Award winner Meryl Streep. You put that on the poster.
As Chaozu,
yes,
like the most useless character. Of that entire cast of characters that are like brought over from like normal Dragon Ball into Z, like Chaozu is like with Oolong and Puar as the most useless, worthless, does nothing characters, and you get Meryl Streep. Yes.
Or Helen Mirren. I think Helen Mirren is Puar. You get the two of them together because they've got to do a movie together someday, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And this is the movie. This is it.
Chaozu and Puar.
Yeah.
I think Al Pacino could also make a great Oolong.
I agree. I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Christopher Walken is Oolong.
Christopher Walken would make a pretty good Oolong.
Yeah. So who's Yamcha? Yamcha's a piece of shit. No one cares about him.
Yeah, nobody likes Yamcha.
He does some stuff in the first arc of Dragon Ball, and past that, he's just a spectator.
Yeah, past that, it's just like he's a romantic interest for Bulma, and nobody ever cares about that.
And he gets his leg broken in the most brutal scene in all of
Dragon Ball. I remember that.
By Tenshinhan.
Yeah, by Vin Diesel.
Yes, Vin Diesel. So I'm trying to think about this.
Yeah, because it's has
Taylor Lautner.
Yeah, Taylor Lautner. If they made a live action Dragon Ball Z movie, Taylor Lautner could be Yamcha.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd have to grow his hair out, but yeah.
Yeah, he's a big name right now.
He never puts a shirt on anyways.
I know.
So there we go. Taylor Lautner, Yamcha, gets his leg broken by Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Okay, fuck the Dragon Ball Z part. I just want to see Vin Diesel break Taylor Lautner's leg. Just like...
Yeah, in real life. Snuff film.
Yeah, just straight up do that. Let's make that movie next.
Yeah. All right. One other major character I want to do, because I can't believe we forgot him, because he's one of my favorites, like top 5, Mr. Satan. Love Mr. Satan.
Mr. Satan.
So I think there's a lot of good voices for Mr. Satan. Since we started talking about Vin Diesel, I was thinking where Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would go. I think he could be a good Mr. Satan.
Yeah, because in the fiction, Mr. Satan is like this really over the top. He's not a wrestler per se, but he is this like famous martial artist, but
Yeah.
he has that wrestler. Like he
After
after
Goku won the Tenkaichi Budokai, Mr. Satan came in and won 2 or 3 of them.
and sort of he has that legacy behind him, but he's not really that good of a fight. Like obviously he doesn't have like magical powers in anything or anything.
No.
He just sort of like milks that. Yeah, The Rock The Rock just is Mr. Satan. He can't grow that mustache and probably not that afro, but he is Mr. Satan.
But I'm also thinking of someone like, who would be someone a little older who would fit that type 2?
It's a good question.
Because Satan is not an old guy, but he has a 20-year-old daughter, or 17 or 18.
Bobby De Niro. Just like straight
Robert De Niro is Mr. Satan.
Just straight up like Raging Bullet, yeah. Bobby De Niro like gives a super dramatic performance.
Now I'm depressed because I'll never get to see this. Robert De Niro, one of my favorite actors, is one of my favorite anime characters. God, that'd be great. God, that'd be great.
Yeah.
God, that'd be fucking great.
This is like the most disappointing part of the whole exercise is that these movies will never be made. That like this will never be a reality.
God, it's sad.
Because it would be great if it was. Like it would be great if Fox just decided, fuck it, we've got Dragon Ball Z, we've got Al Pacino's phone number.
He's not doing anything right now.
He's in fucking stand-up guys. Like let's make this happen.
Yes. God, this is sad now.
Yeah.
All right. The last major villain of Z, at least, that we have not cast is Boo.
Yeah. That's a tricky one, because Boo's a really cartoonish character. It's like, I don't know about the Japanese voice, but in English, it's just like really high-pitched.
Okay,
boo,
the English
boo, boo.
the English is that typical Funimation thing where they took... Boo has a deep voice in Japanese. They took that and made it, super high-pitched.
Yeah.
So.
Because, I mean, at the very least, Boo kind of looks like he would have a really high-pitched voice, at least to me.
But, I think you've got to get someone kind of versatile for Boo.
Yeah.
Or not. Or Meryl Streep it. Not literally Meryl Streep, I mean someone of that caliber on the male side.
Yeah. Yeah, who would be a really good Majin Buu, who just, like, basically steals Boo for most of the thing? Oh, man, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one, because he is such an anime character.
Yeah.
That...
I don't know.
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban is Boo.
Carl Urban is Boo. Again, like, not a choice you initially go for.
But, I think he could work very well for Super Boo.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is that you'd have the same voice actor for all the Boos. So he puts on this, like, really, like, over-the-top, like, you don't know it's Carl Urban. Like, they don't even, like, advertise it that much. Just Carl Urban's Boo. And he gives, like, this really, like, over-the-top performance as Majin Buu. But then, like, once it's Super Boo and, he kills basically every single human on the planet, dude's fucking serious and dude's really dark.
I like it.
I'm saying Carl Urban.
Okay, I like this. I think this could work.
I think it could work too. I don't know what movie this would be that all of a sudden there's like every single like Dragon Ball villain from all the different eras.
Yeah, that's not the important part.
Yeah.
So, I had one more idea for Mr. Satan.
Okay.
Tell me what you think about this.
Yeah.
Because it's a guy who's kind of a poser, but he's very charismatic. He plays a crowd well.
Yeah.
He's very rich. He has towns named after him. Robert Downey Jr.
I thought that was where you were going with it, and yes.
Put that on the table, leave it there.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'll take that.
I still like Robert De Niro the most, but...
Yeah, I
think Robert Downey... We have to find the perfect place for Robert Downey Jr. somewhere in an anime, but, maybe not Dragon Ball Z. I think he'd be too big for Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, it's like, because we've already cast all the major roles, that it's you'd have to find something really special for Robert Downey Jr.
Now, one other major character we haven't even touched on is Trunks.
Yeah, Trunks.
I mean, Trunks has to have a badass voice, but he's kind of young, and I don't know what young actor could do that.
Yeah, this is good. This is the hardest one for me, because I don't know a lot of young actors.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt could be a great Trunks, too, but he's already Goku.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah.
And there's no better Goku, so we can't take him off of that.
I know.
Trunks.
I'm thinking here.
Yeah, this is... Who the fuck would be Trunks? Because there's not that many really good young male actors out there. At least, like, none that, like, obviously they're just not prominent enough that they would, like, come to mind.
Right, for the celebrity. I mean, I can think of good young male actors who have been in, like, indie stuff.
Elijah Wood.
Perfect!
I love it!
Wood. I love it!
Elijah Wood is Trunks. Done.
I love it.
Solved it.
Because that's the thing. People forget about Trunks because, Funimation only advertises the scenes where he's got his sword out cutting Frieza in half.
Yeah.
But Trunks is very polite. He's soft-spoken.
Yeah.
He's very nice. In Japanese...
He's very respectful to, like, especially Gohan.
Yeah. In Japanese, I mean, they really play this up because he has all his, it's classical grammatical Japanese he speaks. Yeah, Elijah, and I love Elijah Wood. I want Elijah Wood to be in more stuff anyway.
Yeah.
This would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Okay, now the last...
No, but here's the best part, though.
Yeah.
Because Al Pacino is Vegeta, Elijah Wood is Trunks, hyperbolic time chamber, fuckers go in, spend a year together. Think about that. Think about that. Think about Al Pacino and fucking Elijah Wood playing off of each other, where Al Pacino's the dad and Elijah Wood is the kid. That would be I don't even care about the anime part anymore. I wanted that movie because they are so completely different as actors. It would be great.
Okay. The last thing I want to say on DBZ, unless we have come up with a better idea on these other series, is we were talking about Liam Neeson earlier. The best casting we have for all of this is where we originally thought of Liam Neeson, and that is, picture this poster, Liam Neeson as Corrin.
Yes.
Yes. Now, you might not know who Corrin is, because he's really not in DBZ.
Yeah.
But he's very important to Dragon Ball. He trains Goku. He helps Goku beat Piccolo Daimao. Some other people. Corrin's awesome.
Yeah.
He's where the Senzu beans come from.
He is a little fat cat dude with a big staff.
Yeah.
And he's kind of an asshole, but kind of awesome.
Always has his eyes closed.
Yeah.
And Liam Neeson would be a phenomenal Corrin.
Yeah, because you want Liam Neeson in a role where, one, Liam Neeson would not fit at all. That is now, established, Disney established now that rule.
With Ponyo.
Yeah, that Liam Neeson is this crazy scientist dude.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's Liam Neeson. I love Liam Neeson, but the dude's voice does not waver ever. He is always hitting the same deep, gravelly tone, just not change ever. Crazy scientist, not good casting for him. Corrin, it is better casting. Liam Neeson fits that character more, and the thing I like the most about it is that he would be in, one scene.
Yes.
They would fly through, they would, go up to the tower, they'd get their Senzu beans, they'd be like, "See ya, Corrin!" And it's that would be it. And, Liam Neeson would have, 2 lines. But it would be Liam Neeson as a little fat cat dude.
But then we also have to cast Yajirobe.
Yeah.
Now, Yajirobe is an annoying character.
Yes, he is.
Now, in Japanese, he's voiced by Mayumi Tanaka, one of the greats of Japanese voice acting. She does Luffy on One Piece and Kuririn on Dragon Ball Z, obviously.
Yeah.
Also does Yajirobe, because she's very prolific. But, so you need but she does a very kind of annoying, over-the-top voice for Yajirobe. It's intentional, that's what the character is.
And in the English dub, likewise, that voice is fucking annoying, too.
So I'm thinking of the actor who annoys me most on this planet. Adam Sandler is Yajirobe.
That is legitimately, if you wanted to get a celebrity to do the super annoying English dub existing version of Yajirobe, you would get Adam Sandler.
Yes.
Because he does that and would do it to the extreme. And the best thing about the whole thing is that Yajirobe is really overweight. I can just picture, Adam Sandler would be in the voice recording booth with, a fat suit on to, get into the performance, and you just do this, really over-the-top fat person voice. Yeah.
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 So let's leave DBZ at that.
Yes. Let's leave DBZ with Adam Sandler and Liam Neeson standing on a tower alone for years.
As Goku flies back, past on Kintoan.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
They just, look off into the sunset as Goku flies away and slowly hold hands. You know, Yajirobe and Corrin are a pair. At that point, right? They're just on that fucking tower for years. They're always there. They've I just imagine that in the Dragon Ball Z universe, gay marriage isn't accepted, so they kind of hide it, but they just don't hide it that well. Or it might not be gay marriage. It might be that he's a cat and he's a.
I was going to say, Sean, that's.
But the Corrin's an anthropomorphic cat. He's human-y. He's Liam Neeson.
I mean, the reason in the series is because Yajirobe loves food and Corrin has lots of it, but
there are lots of places that have lots of food, dude.
Yes.
You don't need to live isolated on a giant fucking tower with a cat person to get some food. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
That's it.
What are the other series we talked about, and what voices did we come up with? Because we didn't cast anything else this thoroughly.
Yeah, because it's a lot harder because Dragon Ball Z is the only one that we both watched so much of and we're so familiar with that series that we're both on the same level with it.
Yeah. The next one I want to go to, ironically enough, because this is where we got the next level of lots of voices.
Yeah.
Is Yu-Gi-Oh. And I know that's kind of
Yu-Gi-Oh's the other one that's like we've both seen a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh. We're both very familiar with it.
And we're taking a pretty big jump in quality, because Dragon Ball Z is one of the greats.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece.
Yu-Gi-Oh's fun for what it is.
It is.
But yeah, it's not like this really phenomenal series or something.
Yeah. And I think the manga is significantly better. I really like that. But, the anime is a little toned down. It's more for kids. And I really am only familiar with the English dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they've never put it out in Japanese over here. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're basing these things on. But I think
we should say, like, that English dub is, like, the classic example of how not to localize something, where they, like, changed all the characters' names, they changed any reference to it being set in Japan, just pretend it's set in America. Yeah. It's fucked up what they did with, like,
it's really fun. They took out all religious references, like pentagrams.
Yeah.
And they changed all the monster names, got rid of any instances of violence or anything, made Joey Boston, like a kid from Boston, changed the name to Joey. Whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, at least it was like Junochi in the original, and then they changed it to Joey. At least both of those start with a J and then go into like an O. The one that always drove me insane was the Anzu, the female character. They changed her to Taya Gardner.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? Like, who is named Taya? Who the fuck came up with that?
I know.
It's just a random name. Anyways.
I mean, the weird thing about that is that they did such a bad job that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series that's online, which is so much better, it's the good version of that dub, because that guy does all those voices well.
And then, but the best part of it all is that they change every character's name, basically, but then, like, there's the few that they don't, and that's the best part. Because obviously they can't change Yugi's name, because it's called Yu-Gi-Oh! So you still have this character, Yugi Muto, who's just there. He's just Japanese. And then you've got Seto Kaiba. And it's like, among all these other people...
That's a weird thing. Why didn't they ever change Kaiba? Because I guess it's on all the art, Kaiba Core.
But, it's... Like, that is my Yu-Gi-Oh! Weird localization rant of, like, that just drives me insane.
I know.
Especially after playing Persona, where they're so immensely respectful of the original Japanese culture and stuff. When they localized it, that is like... Yu-Gi-Oh's like the complete opposite, where it's like, we're just going to pretend this thing never came from Japan.
Yeah. I mean, when I watched as a kid, I didn't know it was from Japan because they hid it so well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all relative. But anyway, we had a lot of good ideas for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because we started with one great idea.
Yes, we did.
And this is such a great idea that everything kind of stemmed naturally from there. This is Patrick Stewart as Yami Yugi.
Yes. Like, when Yugi gets his Millennium Puzzle and he gets all, like, pharaohed out and becomes his really cool self, where his voice just drops, his balls drop, it's like he grows 2 feet tall, or 2 feet taller. He's already 2 feet tall, so he's 4 feet tall now, 5 feet with his hair. Yeah. Patrick Stewart as that. And that is also the Yugi, whenever he duels, that is the form he takes on.
Yes.
So we've got Patrick Stewart saying all the ridiculous shit like...
Give us an example.
I activate my trap card! It's like, I play Swords of Revealing Light!
And
I attack your life points directly, Kaiba!
And the great thing about this is Patrick Stewart has never half-assed anything.
Exactly. He's a fucking Shakespearean-ass actor.
Yes.
And he would bring that full force to playing a children's card game in Yu-Gi-Oh!
It'd be great.
It's like, because it fits so well, because in the anime, they take it so fucking, like, they act like when they lose the game, they're going to fucking die. Which in the original version of the stories would happen most of the fucking time. In the anime, no, you just lost a fucking card game. It's not like this, like, life-crushing, oh my god, this, like, you revealed your trap. He played the Dark Magician. What am I going to do? Patrick Stewart would bring that enthusiasm to it. You'd capture that spirit of the original in magnificent form.
Yes. Now, Yugi's rival, of course, is Seto Kaiba. I remember
the only other Japanese person.
Yes. Now, I remember us coming up with a great idea for Kaiba, and I cannot remember what it was.
Unfortunately, I can't either.
Fuck. This is too bad.
We'll have to come up with a new Kaiba. He's got to have really, like, hard-edged voice.
Yeah.
Be, like, really steely, but also really sympathetic, because Kaiba is the best character. Like, he's the only one that whenever I watched it, he's the only character I cared about, because he's the only interesting character in the whole fucking thing.
But he's also a dick. Now my initial idea would be a Michael Fassbender type, but we already have him playing Cell.
Yeah, we can't just bring him over wholesale.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
even though he'd be good.
Viggo Mortensen.
That'd be interesting.
Viggo Mortensen is Kaiba. I think he could Because
he's so significantly older, but yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not.
So is Patrick Stewart, I guess.
I mean, because Kaiba's supposed to be their age, but
Yeah.
he looks like he's 30 years old.
I know.
He's not a fucking high schooler. And, Yugi is obviously in elementary school. It just happens to hang around with high school students all the fucking time.
So Viggo Mortensen is Kaiba.
Yeah, Viggo Mortensen is Kaiba.
With an asterisk, maybe we can come up with something
Yeah.
better. So that is a good one.
Yeah.
That could work. Now, we got all of Yugi's friends. He's got Jonochi, Anzu, Honda, who you would know
mean Joey, Taya, and Tristan.
Tristan, because people are named Tristan. Someone really liked Richard Wagner, Tristan Uji's old,
It's like fucking the character that when we were talking about this for the first time, I was trying so hard. Who was the other dude in their group? It's like, oh yeah, Tristan.
Yeah.
He was on the show. He played. He like almost never even played the fucking card game. He just like went along with them.
I think Tristan was the other character who I said should probably just be Taylor Lautner.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
Or
I'm
fuck it,
fine with
Robert
that,
Pattinson.
That's a good point. Robert Pattinson.
Because Robert Pattinson is even more bland.
Yeah.
In Twilight, at least.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson, he would be, just like he's there. You completely forget that he's here. It's like completely capture the character of Tristan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think for the other two, going off of Patrick Stewart, you have to overqualify them.
Yeah.
So I'm saying for Joey Wheeler, as they call him in English dub, we'll go with his Boston accent.
Yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg plays Joey.
Mark Wahlberg would be a great Joey. Like, not even kidding. He would be great. Just getting to hear Mark Wahlberg say Red Eyes Black Dragon would be phenomenal.
Yep, in his thick Boston accent.
Yeah.
And like there's in the original manga at least, I don't know how much of this is in the anime. There's all the stuff where Joey gets into street fights and gang fights.
Yeah,
and, someone will fuck with Yugi and he'll stand up for Yugi. Mark Wahlberg.
Cut a motherfucker.
Yeah, Marky Mark would fuck you up if you fuck with Yugi.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Mark Wahlberg would be Joey.
Great.
Yeah, phenomenal. Perfect.
Which now I remember who my idea was for Kaiba.
Who?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio, yes.
Yes.
Sorry, Vigo.
Vigo's great. We'll find something else for him.
We'll find something for you, but we're calling up Leonardo DiCaprio. He's going to be Kaiba.
So we're overqualifying everyone, which means we need to find a great young actress for Anzu.
Taya.
And I'm going Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah!
Yeah. She'd actually legitimately be great with that.
Yeah, no. That's, Taya is not necessarily like the greatest character of all time. So it's like there's not, none of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters really are, so there's like not a lot there for her.
Overqualified.
Yeah, exactly.
Academy Award, soon-to-be Academy Award winner.
Yeah.
Same with Anne Hathaway. I said earlier she's an Academy Award winner. She will be in a couple weeks, just not yet. Those awards are predictable. Anyway, so we got this main core cast: Patrick Stewart, Jennifer Lawrence, Mark Wahlberg, Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert Pattinson,
Tristan.
And then Little Yugi is a little harder. I don't know who played Little Yugi.
Maybe Patrick Stewart could try to pull it off, see if how high his voice can go. Try to play Little Yugi.
Okay, who did voice Timmy Turner?
Oh God, that voice actress is in everything.
Oh, we can look it up.
Yeah, she's the woman who replaced Arlene Sorkin as Harley Quinn in Arkham City.
Oh, look.
Tina Strong? Is that her name?
It's not Tina Strong, but it's something like that.
Tara Strong.
Tara Strong. That's her name. Tara Strong is young Yugi. Now, I know she's not a celebrity, but we don't need the celebrity because we've got Patrick Stewart there.
Again, that's kind of cheap because she's a legitimate, really great voice actress.
But there aren't a lot of famous young boys or, girls for this.
Yeah.
So, I'm saying Tara Strong because, again, the star power is Patrick Stewart. Then you let Tara Strong do the...
To be fair, if it was back in 2001, Rupert Grint would be playing the Yugi.
Okay.
That's it would be better if he didn't have his British accent, but... Actually, no, because since we have Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
There we go. So, let's if it was possible, again, time machine, 10-year-old Rupert Grint playing Little Yugi.
But I really like the idea of... Tara Strong, Timmy Turner voice turning into Patrick Stewart. I think that is such a great...
And she just does the Timmy Turner voice, that's just it?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Less enthusiastic, because Yugi goes through a little more shit than Timmy Turner, but...
Yeah, and he's just this little annoying little prick that never everybody puts up with because he's got this really cool Patrick Stewart side.
Yeah. Alright, so... I think this is where we've settled on. We were saying for a long time, who should Christopher Walken play in an anime?
Yeah.
And I think we settled on he's Grandpa Moto.
Yeah,
in Yu-Gi-Oh.
he's Yugi's grandpa, who's like just there sometimes.
But he's kidnapped a lot.
Yeah, he gets his cards stolen because his cards are so fucking important in the Yu-Gi-Oh world. Yeah. Christopher Walken is just Grandpa Moto.
I just had a huge breakthrough.
What?
For Pegasus, Maximilian Pegasus, or Pegasus J. Crawford in the original Japanese.
I didn't. What is his name? Is Pegasus J. Crawford? I don't know which one is worse, Pegasus J. Crawford or Maximilian Pegasus.
Well,
they're
Pegasus
both really dumb names.
In Japanese, it's trying to come up with a really stereotypical American name. In Pegasus J. Crawford. In English, it's trying to make him really gay because they did Pegasus as a flaming So here's my idea.
Okay.
Stick with me on this.
Okay.
Javier Bardem from Skyfall.
Yeah, I love it. As soon as he said Javier Bardem, I totally went to his Skyfall character too. Yeah,
Raul Silva.
Yeah.
That's Pegasus. Yes.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Pegasus is Spanish.
Yeah. Who cares?
Pegasuso.
Yeah. I think that's like we have to lock that in place. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Not gonna get better than that.
Yep, that's how Javier Bardem is playing in our crazy celebrity anime universe.
Okay. Bandit Keith. Really like stereotypical American guy. Just terrible stereotype.
That is the one I am most curious about. Actually, I'm not even that curious about how he is in Japanese because I can almost see it in my mind's eye, like how they would play that character in Japanese. But yeah,
who's like the all-American action star who does that?
That's good. That's because
I would say someone's from the South, like some Southern jackass.
I don't.
We may have to come back to this one.
We might have to come back to this one. I'm pulling a blank on who'd be Bandit Keith. There's got to be someone really good.
I know.
I just want to say it'd be like a country singer, but I don't know the names of any like country singers.
That's true. I know the only country singer I know is Taylor Swift. Who's Taylor Swift in Yu-Gi-Oh? She's
Bandit Keith. Done. Taylor Swift is Bandit Keith. America.
Taylor Swift isn't even really country. That's the only reason I know her because she's not. She's just rock and roll with a slight twang.
I've never heard a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah, they're awful. Don't hear them. All our Taylor Swift fans will stop listening to our podcast.
I will continue going into the future having never listened to Taylor Swift and never thinking about Taylor Swift.
Good for you. Meanwhile, I'll just try not to go into the King Supers where they play Taylor Swift on a fucking loop. Seriously, last time I was there, buying groceries, just Taylor Swift for like 30 fucking minutes.
See, I'm blessed in not knowing anything about Taylor Swift, so if I heard a Taylor Swift song, I would just be like, zone out. I would not know.
We're getting really off topic here.
Well, Taylor Swift is Bandit Keith. Casted.
I think Carl Urban would be a good Bandit Keith also.
She would, yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah. Or Chris Pine.
That'd be great.
Chris
Pine's cocky, just jackass. Chris Pine's a great actor. It's just like he plays that cocky asshole really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all coming together.
It is.
All right. Any other major Yu-Gi-Oh characters we're leaving out? I don't.
No, I mean there's like the dinosaur dude and the bug dude, but I can't like
Rex and Weevil.
Yeah. I don't want it. I don't.
Al Pacino and Christopher Walken. That's what they make up for stand-up guys. By
dinosaur dude and bug dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, don't care. But what are the other series we talked about? These are the two we fleshed out.
But past this point, it's almost too hard because, I have watched basically all of Naruto and Bleach, which are other really long-running shonen anime that I really like, but you've seen almost none of it, so...
I know a lot about Naruto, but I haven't seen, any of the Shippuden era, for instance.
Yeah, which is, the only part of it really worth watching, but you need all the other stuff to, have the context to make that bit worth watching. It was, the tragedy of Naruto. But it's I swear it's a really good show! After 100 episodes, if you just stick with it awesome, but you have to fucking stick with it.
And I also, we threw in One Piece. That's kind of a tough one. But and see, the thing about all of these, and I know nothing about Bleach, so I couldn't help you on this.
Yeah.
But One Piece and Naruto, which are sort of the big ones in Japan right now, especially One Piece, which is a runaway freight train. No. It's a runaway bullet train. I mean, this is Japan. It's fucking fast and furious and rich as hell.
And Tokyo Drift.
No, that's racist, Sean. I'm kidding.
What?
I'm just kidding. Anyway, One Piece. The thing about like One Piece and Naruto, for instance, is it's tough to cast Luffy or Naruto himself.
Yeah, because again, this is an instance where we have female actors playing male characters in Japan, and there's just no, they tried in the English dub of Naruto and did not work, especially when he becomes a teenager. It's atrocious.
So we could probably cast Naruto as a teenager.
Yeah, maybe, but even then,
yeah, it's tough.
This sucks because we already blew our Andrew Garfield load.
That's true.
He could be a good Naruto.
He could be.
Hear him say Hokage all the fucking time. Drive me insane.
What about Tobey Maguire? Other Spider-Man as Naruto.
Tobey Maguire would be such a bad Naruto. He is like the exact where like Naruto is really sort of grating, really energetic, really peppy, really optimistic all the time, like super in your face. Tobey Maguire, none of those things. Tobey Maguire would be an awful Naruto.
So we'll pencil him in.
I mean, honestly, I would have this is not going to mean a lot to you, but unorthodox casting, Tobey Maguire would be Sasuke, the like really broody, emo, just like I have a super tragic backstory, other main character to Naruto. Most people would not cast Tobey Maguire as Sasuke, but I think he could bring like this really like heartfelt, modern American style acting to Sasuke that would be like, sort of understated, but you can get to the heart behind the character and maybe make him a little less intolerable with his broodiness that he gets sometimes.
We've seen emo Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man.
Yeah, not like...
Not Disco Pete?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
God, no.
But we still love you, Tobey Maguire. That wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tobey Maguire there. Does that mean you just slot in Kirsten Dunst as the girl
Sakura?
In that?
Yeah, because you could just have a girl play Sakura.
Now, Kirsten
because
Dunst
Sakura is just the girl.
Okay, and I love Kirsten Dunst. I think she's a really
there's no
actress,
comment on Kirsten Dunst, but it's just like Sakura is this girl-shaped hole to be filled, and you just have a girl that fills that hole. Kirsten Dunst is a girl qualified. Done.
Okay.
That character's cast.
But I mean, what I was saying here is with Naruto and One Piece as well, the main characters are tough. They have great ensembles supporting that I think you could go to town on.
Yeah.
Like, the big one in One Piece that I think has a lot of potential is Roronoa Zoro.
Yeah.
Definitely lots of potential there for people you could cast. I feel like we've gotten through a lot of our action stars.
Yeah.
But there's got to be someone left.
Yeah, no, that's,
Wouldn't have to be young, you're middle-aged.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis is Zoro?
Bruce Willis.
Okay, that'd be kind of weird.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Holding the sword in his mouth?
Yes. The dumbest thing you can do with a sword is put it in your fucking mouth.
Okay. I mean, I feel like we're being so mean to all the female actresses we say because we just have to slot them in with like non-characters. I think the best we've done is
it's because all of these anime are heavily marketed to a young male audience.
They're shonen anime.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the female characters are not going to be these like really stand-out roles.
I mean, ironically,
there are a few in Bleach, but
ironically, the meatiest roles we found for women are the ones Videl and Bulma from Dragon Ball
yeah.
Z.
I mean, I will say this. I'm not going to go on because you know nothing about Bleach, but the female main character Rukia in Bleach is actually a really, really good female character. So give that credit.
Okay, so how old is she? Who do we cast?
It's an anime. She's a teenager.
Okay,
how old do you think she is?
Well,
she's either 1,000 years old. Okay, she's 1,000 years old, but she's a teenager because she's a spirit lady thing. It's not really well defined.
All right, well we could go. We've already done Jennifer Lawrence and Emma Stone. We could go Emma Watson.
I'm not feeling the British. She has to have this this is the weird thing about Bleach. This is going to be a tangent. But, I've watched a lot of the English dub, and I've watched all of the original Japanese version. And they did this weird fucking thing. I don't know how they did this. They got Michelle Ruff. I don't remember the Japanese voice actress's name, but Michelle Ruff is the woman who voices Rukia in the English dub. And she sounds fucking exactly the same as the Japanese voice actress. It is terrifying. If Michelle Ruff started speaking Japanese, you think she's the same goddamn person. So, but the thing, the iconic thing about her voice to me is that it's weirdly, really deep. It's almost like Emma Stone kind of has a similar quality.
Yeah, Emma Stone is kind
of where it's it's not like a really deep voice, but it has this weird bass undertone through it. It's like a masculine voice, but it's not like really sissy and high pitched and annoying.
Well, that's
most anime female characters are.
That's kind of interesting because I said Emma Watson just because she's another really good young actress. I thought.
Yeah.
But when she does her American accent in The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which she does a flawless American accent, I was really surprised. Her voice gets really deep.
Okay, so maybe I can see it. I could if Emma Watson had an American accent, I can see that.
Okay,
I haven't seen Perks of Being a Wallflower, but let's slot that in there.
Yeah, it's a little disorienting at first if you know her voice, but it's not because she's doing a bad American accent.
Mm-hmm.
It's because, but she's doing a good one.
Yeah.
So if that's an idea. We could. I mean, okay. Carrie Mulligan's also British, but she has a much slighter accent. She's got a. Actually, she doesn't have a deep voice though. She doesn't have a high pitched one, but it's not. It's not low. I don't know who would have the low voice here. You need.
Yeah.
Lower.
Just get Michelle Ruff. Just like we don't need to spend time casting Bleach because you haven't seen it. So it's not. It's
yeah.
yeah.
So. Yeah.
Like I'm not sure how much farther we can really go with this because. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball Z are like the ones where like we're 100% on. We have the same understanding of that.
Yes,
it's like we can cast those really well. Past this point, it's just I think it's too hard.
All right, I have a couple of ones that I think will be funny.
Okay, sure.
We were joking about the other night, not on this podcast, that Sanji on One Piece, who's their chef, smokes all the fucking time.
Yes, he does.
Whose voice has been destroyed by smoking? Who should play Sanji? Like we're saying, like noir cop kind of voice.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure. I can't off the top. Like nobody's sticking out at me at the top of my head.
Okay, no one for me either. It's tough.
It is tough. Like I mean, it'd have to be
Basically, be Bob Dylan as Sanji.
Fuck you, shit. No, it'd just be Bob Dylan. There you go. You did it. Like Bob Dylan would just be Sanji. Like he
sings every once in a while.
He was in that like Sam Peckinpah movie where the one he made.
Pat Garrett.
Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
He was in that. Fuck it. He can voice Sanji. He's qualified.
Okay. Usopp. Jokester. We haven't really come across one of these like side characters who's just there. He's very... I mean, not all through One Piece, but in the beginning that's how he's introduced. He's a liar. He's a jokester.
He's got a Pinocchio nose.
Yeah.
Because he's a liar.
I don't know.
I have this weird compulsion to cast a black actor as him, too. I don't know why.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think... Samuel L. Jackson. I just want to...
As Usopp?
As Usopp. He's like this really badass, like no-nonsense, like fucking Usopp. Like, I just want Samuel L. Jackson to start pegging dudes with a slingshot.
Yeah, I think Samuel L. Jackson in One Piece for me would have to be the guy, the leader of like the fish, the pirates who have the fish noses from like volume 9 of the manga.
I think I vaguely know what you're talking about.
Who threatened Nami and her family, and Nami has to, there's that whole arc where they have to go back to Nami's like place, and I wish I could remember his name because that's my favorite arc in the early stuff in One Piece. But I think Samuel L. Jackson would be really good as that. Just guy doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is the question I think we need to like change into now. Maybe is that instead of just talking about the anime and trying to go character by character, are there any actors we've talked about so far that we haven't found a place for that we'd like to? So Samuel L. Jackson's a good one. Is there anywhere in the other shows we've been talking about that he could fit?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like Samuel L. Jackson would, because he is Afro Samurai. Like he has some experience voicing anime. There has to be. But now that I think about it in that light, it's almost unfair to even take Samuel L. Jackson and have him, like, take him from Afro Samurai and put him on something else, because he is just Afro Samurai. He is Samuel L. Jackson. And there's just not... Like, I'm just trying to think of an anime character that I'd want to hear say motherfucker all the time. And I'm weirdly coming up blanks on that. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I can't think of a good Samuel L. Jackson role.
Okay, there's a Dragon Ball Z character that we forgot to come back to that we said we were going to come back to. Piccolo, Daimao, who says motherfucker all the time.
Yes.
Obviously. Right?
He wants his motherfucking Dragon Balls.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got all his the people who work for him, his lackeys. Yeah. And his lackeys are always fucking failing. Mm-hmm. And they'd come back, and Samuel L. Jackson would just lay some law down on those motherfuckers. Yeah. It'd be, I think this could work.
I think this could work, too.
Now, the one I want to know, because I'm really sad he never came up in our discussion, is who does Sylvester Stallone voice in an anime?
Oh, man. That's a good one. I wasn't even my mind never even went to Sylvester Stallone.
He's great. He needs to be somewhere.
Yeah, who the fuck would Sly play? Here, this is one. This is another weird one. This is from Naruto. One of the main characters from like the very beginning of the show is this guy Kakashi, who's sort of like the Naruto, that trio's like mentor and teacher. And he always, one of the iconic things about him is that you never see his face. He's got like his like headband thing that covers one of his eyes.
I know that character. Yeah.
And then he's also got this like mask thing that goes over the bottom of his face, and you never see the bottom half of his face. And I want Sylvester Stallone to play him, just because you can never understand what Sylvester Stallone is saying, and it would weirdly fit because you would never, in real life, you would never know what the fuck Kakashi is saying because he's got this like super tight thing over his face. So you just get that. And also, like, it would just be a really laid-back Sylvester Stallone because Kakashi never gives a fuck. There we go.
You know, if we want to go for a little while longer here, there is one other anime you and I are on totally equal footing on. That's Death Note. And I think that is ripe for the comic potential of this exercise.
Because that is the complete flip side, where it is not this really ridiculous, really long-running, like, fighting anime. Yeah, it is, you know...
It's a limited 12 volume.
Yeah, it's like this, like, one... I mean, it's kind of two stories, but, like, the same characters could overgo. And, yeah, it's, like, limited in scope. It's very focused. It's very dramatic. It's very intelligent.
So who is Ryuk? Andy Serkis!
Yes, Andy Serkis is Ryuk, the Shinigami, who is just there eating apples all the time. Really doesn't do anything for most of the show, but it's just...
No.
He's there, and he's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's like... You know, I think we've already used him, and I think it's super predictable, but I would still really like to see Benedict Cumberbatch being L.
That'd be awesome.
You know, because L's just Sherlock Holmes. I mean, you know, he's just a Japanese Sherlock Holmes. Benedict Cumberbatch is the British Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. And you know, speaking of that, I think Death Note is where we have to slot Martin Freeman, if he's going to be in one of these.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we forgot Martin Freeman.
Who is the dude who's, like, the detective... who, like, is sort of like the gopher who's there that's, like, usually not very important.
Matsuda.
Yes, exactly. Martin Freeman's him.
Nice.
Yes.
Because Martin Freeman can be very funny, but he can also be very endearing.
He can be very funny, and he's sort of like that everyman character. Just like he can fill those shoes.
Yeah.
That's Martin Freeman.
Because Matsuda, you know, by the end of the first arc is crucial.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think that'd be really good. Mm-hmm. So we got Benedict Cumberbatch as L, Martin Freeman as Matsuda, we've got Andy Serkis as Ryuk, Saichiro Yagami, I feel like, you know, hardened, like, older cop.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good places we could go with that.
I'd almost want to pull Sylvester Stallone into that one, too. Sylvester Stallone would be a pretty interesting, Saichiro Yagami? Yeah.
All right, well, since we weren't too confident on some of those other series, let's put him in our fake cast for Death Note.
Yeah, sure.
The celebrity cast. I don't know who's Light.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
It would have to be sort of in the Joseph Gordon-Levitt age range, but I don't think he would be right for that at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe close, but not quite.
Oh, man, yeah, that's... Light is another pretty hard one.
He's got to be like an evil, you know, motherfucker. He doesn't care, just...
Man, yeah, no,
I don't know.
I'm pulling blanks on that one.
Tom Felton, Malfoy from Harry Potter. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, not even as a joke. No.
You know, he's an okay actor, that wouldn't work.
No. God, no.
I'm trying to think here, because I think Light, you got to get him right. And maybe if we have to go a little older, we have to go a little older. That'd be okay.
Yeah.
You know, the other person who could... We already did find a good place for Sylvester Stallone. So let's leave him in Naruto, and let's put Viggo Mortensen as Soichiro Yagami.
Sure, yeah.
Because he's a very soft-spoken guy.
Yeah, I can see that. It's not what I would immediately go to, but yeah.
I think it works.
I think it works too.
Yeah. Which means, who from Lord of the Rings plays Light?
Yeah,
there's a lot of good younger style. I mean, they're not all that young anymore, but...
The problem is that I don't necessarily see Light with like a British accent type thing going on. And
that's true.
Most of the actors from Lord of the Rings have British accents, so it's kind of hard to pull someone out.
Sean Astin doesn't, but I don't think he'd be right for Light. And I love Sean Astin. All right, so but who's John Rhys Davies in an anime? This is the question. How did we forget John Rhys Davies?
How like just not even joking. How has John Rhys Davies has to voice something in an anime? Like, that voice, he has got to be in something. Like, that is such a good voice for an anime, like, not even joking. Like, there's so many of, like, that type of character that would have that, like, really gruff, but really, like, happy and endearing voice.
Yeah. There's so many good places you could slot him in.
You just be like, yeah, no. Man. John Rhys Davies. Who the fuck would he be?
He's been in Tazako Kensai Sword Saint TV series. I don't know what the hell that is. It sounds like an anime.
No, Kensai basically being Sword Saint anyways. That's like a class in Dungeons and Dragons. So that's all I... Yeah, no, like...
Well, let's come back to John Rhys Davies.
Yeah.
Let's keep going with Death Note here. There is a meaty female role in Death Note, and that would be Misa.
Yeah.
Misa-chan.
Yeah, that one's... I don't even know where I would go. I mean,
I think
this isn't fair. My immediate impression is Laura Bailey, the voice actress who plays Rise in...
Well, that would be the perfect dub voice. But I think you could actually find, like, let's think of a chick in America who is, like, kind of like the pinup model, kind of.
Yeah, but
I just don't know who.
But even then, it's almost like...
There has to be this kind of...
so different. Like, I don't know, the public perception of it, I feel, is like... Well,
that's what they did.
It's such a Japanese character.
But and that's what they did with Misa in Japanese, is Aya Hirano, who's a singer, idol kind of person, played Misa. As you know, that was celebrity casting in Japan, major celebrity casting. So, yeah, I don't know in America.
Yeah, I can't even... Like, the character equivalent would be, like, Britney Spears in her heyday.
Right.
But even then, like, that kind of girl just doesn't work. Like, it's just not...
No, she doesn't act.
Like, the pop idol thing...
Yeah.
It's just different. It's just different. Like, they're both pop idols, but she's a Japanese pop idol. Britney Spears is an American pop idol. It just does not mesh.
No. So I don't know who would play Misa.
I would just throw in the towel on that one. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I don't
Laura
know.
Bailey.
She's such a... I mean, yeah. And I don't remember the actress who voiced her in the English dub by Viz, but that is the best voice to me in that English dub. They did a very good job with Misa, to the point where I may prefer her to Aya Hirano. I really liked what they did with her, and what little I watched of the Death Note English dub.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think I got to the point in the English dub that she came in, so I can't speak to that.
Yeah, I don't like the dub for the most part. I think they miscast just about everybody, but they got Misa pretty spot on. So... Yeah, but, okay, so we've done some of the bigger characters, I think. Anyone we're forgetting?
I don't know. Like,
we haven't figured out Light yet.
Yeah, that was hard.
It is hard.
I don't know. Like Death Note does not have, like, the really memorable stable of characters, like, because, it's not just... It's just not that kind of anime. That one's a lot harder to cast. Like, even just pulling out Martin Freeman as Matsuo is... I'm surprised that he even could remember that character.
I think I've got it. Now, I think we cast him for something else. I don't remember what it was. Chris Pine would make a great Light.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I've seen Chris Pine do a voice role. And it was in the movie Rise of the Guardians by DreamWorks. He was really good in it. He was the main character who starts out as kind of a dick, a bad guy, but he becomes better. And I think he's a pretty good voice actor. And I could see him being sort of like passing off on that level of like where Light makes himself likable and charismatic to people, but then, back home he's evil Light.
I can see that, yeah.
I can see that. It would be very different for him. He hasn't done anything like that before. But maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
So who's Simon Pegg in anime?
Oh, God. That's... Man, there's... Simon
Pegg and Nick Frost as Dinosaur Ryuzaki and Weevil. Yeah. What's his name? Rex and Weevil? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I just remember the Japanese. Sorry.
Dinosaur Dude and Insect Dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
That'd be perfect, right?
Yep, done.
Which
one is which, though? Let's say Nick Frost is Dinosaur and Simon Pegg is Insect?
Yeah, because Simon Pegg would be the leader, and Weevil's a little more,
Yeah, like, just smarter. He's got glasses, so he has to be smarter.
Oh, we filled those roles, thank God.
Yeah,
I was really worried.
Hanging over my
I was
head.
really worried.
Insect Dude and Dinosaur Dude.
Yeah.
That's their, like, defining character trait, is that they really like those cards in their card game.
So, Sean, here's my question.
Okay.
How many listeners are still listening to this podcast?
None. Negative.
Okay.
Like, we've like killed some people, I think, by with this conversation.
So do you think we're 2.5 hours in to this ridiculous conversation? No one is listening anymore? So we can say whatever we want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified is the best game I've ever played. Just hands down, it's the best. Like, nothing else even touches it.
We really love Prometheus. We're just so insecure.
Yeah, Prometheus, we just, we rag on it all the time because we really actually love it, and we just can't admit it to ourselves. Really, the people say Citizen Kane is the best movie of all time. Just like, I think if you give Prometheus, more time, that it's like people will look back on when Prometheus came back, and it's like, that is the day cinema changed. That is the way, it's like, before that, there was like no sound, and all of a sudden everything's in color, and there's beautiful music. Because Prometheus came out and just changed the way we make cinema.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't really love Persona 4. We're so intimidated by its length. We just try to talk about it like we've played it, but that's too much. I don't have the time to play a 80-hour RPG.
Jonathan, I can't do this anymore. You can go fuck yourself. I can't. I was going to say I don't like Persona, and it's like I had this physical reaction to that, like me trying, like the air would not come out from my lungs. So you, sir, you can go fuck it. You should go play fucking Black Ops Declassified. Like that is like washing your mouth out with soap in video game terms for saying that, even as a joke. Like, fuck you, man. Fuck you.